in control against our Tosis debate and keep going back and forth.
That'll be easy.
Feel stabilized. Want to turn a fade. We gotta move.
What is up, everyone? It's April 12th, 2011, and welcome to State of the Game. I'm JP McDaniel, and now let's reveal the caster wall. See who's going to be on the show this week. We've got none other than the dancing cat. iNcotroL, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. Thanks for having me, guys.
Got Day 9, sitting there munching as usual, always eating on the show.
I'm going to be eating every single cast because, honestly, I always eat dinner post-daily, and, State of the Game post-daily.
Well,
And I take like 45 minutes to eat a meal.
Well, we can't be mad at you for that, Sean. You gotta eat, man. You gotta eat. Tyler, what's going on?
What's up, fellas?
You can also note that everyone's Twitter is right below either their head or above their head, and now you won't have any issues getting to Tyler's Twitter as someone's making some noise. Anyways, IdrA, what's going on, man?
Not too much. I think that was actually me. Bryce was just making tea. So that was what the
sounds
hissing
like a
noise
bag crunch. Oh, okay.
That's what you guys are doing.
It was the hissing. It was the hissing. We've also got the esports operations and marketing manager over at IGN, Alex Sundevil Khan. Alex, what's going on?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me.
So we're going to be interviewing you in just a little bit, but before we do, we got to talk about some stuff that isn't StarCraft 2 related, but it is nerd related. Game of Thrones premiered this week, or this past weekend, and I know everyone here watched it. Sean, you're laughing. What'd you think of the show?
Okay, well, the thing is that Tristan reads like tons of sci-fi fantasy, so for like months he's been like, oh my god, Game of Thrones coming out. Game of Thrones, holy shit, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. Oh, it's going to be so awesome. And I was like, I guess it's going to be awesome. I didn't question it at all. I didn't even ask anyone else. It's just like, if Tristan says so. So much so that I called my mom and was like, Mom, there's this great new series coming out. I've never read the books. I literally don't know anything about what the storyline is going to be like. It's like, Mom, you have to see it. She's like, oh, okay, that's great. I've been looking for a new TV show. I'm like, yeah. And then I saw the episode.
Saw the TPM?
What does that stand for, JP?
What do you think,
It stands
Sean?
for boobs per minute.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Quite high. Quite high.
There is a substantial amount of just, oh, there's someone naked. Oh, my God. Just sort of like happening, It's like a little boy, and he's just like going to get like a chicken from the market, and he like gets the chicken, and then turns around the corner, and it's just like, bam, two people right there. Whoa, oh, completely startling.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot, and I think within every single sexual scene there was a death within like 2 minutes before or after it.
It's true. It's true.
So,
It's kind of just the way the book runs, though.
Yeah.
but I didn't know this. I mean, I'm not trying to knock the book. I'm trying to knock recommending something to your mother without having seen it in advance.
Jeff, what'd you think? I know you're a big fan of the books.
Well, I've actually been reading the books, and I'm waiting on this Dance of Dragons. Like, literally, it's weird to say, but coming up on like 10 years. And I thought the show was really good. I was very happy with it. I watched each week. Hotbit told me that HBO picked it up for season 2, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think it did really well when it came to the ratings. So.
And I really like it, but it's my first experience where, like, I've read all the books literally 3 or 4 times, and the show's great, but it's not as good as the books, and I feel like such a snob for saying that, but
You're one of those people now, Jeff.
I know, I'm
those
one of them.
people. Tyler, I know you did you watch it? I think you did.
I watched it, yeah, and
Okay.
I've read the books only once for each book. I mean, I've read all the books that are out once.
Think about it.
What'd you think, man? Don't make it that complicated.
I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I'm gonna watch every single episode they make, and it was pretty damn good. It's gonna be better than most TV out there, but didn't absolutely blow me away. delay or anything.
I do want to apologize for the lag on everyone's stream. New version of XSplit is really screwy. It should be fixed though, so we'll just continue on. Portal 2 released last night. I think. Has anyone else here played it besides me? I guess I'm the only one. Well, I beat the thing in one sitting. Game's actually incredible. If you haven't checked it out or have no idea what it is, just go play it. It's my game of the year. I was telling Jeff earlier, and he seemed surprised by that. But Jeff, you were saying that your might be game of the year is Mortal Kombat.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't put it that high. Like, I'm really looking forward to the new Metal Gear Solid. But this Mortal Kombat returned to the old stuff that
it's good, man.
I think everyone has a chunk of their childhood that they spent playing a game that they knew their moms would ban from them if they ever saw them playing it. So I'm pretty happy.
It's true. It's actually I was telling you I watched the entire single player streamed live last night, and it's pretty remarkable that a fighting game has a 9 or 6 or 7 hour, however long it was, single player involved in it. But all three great games, but of course this is a StarCraft 2 podcast. So let's start talking about StarCraft 2. We'll start off interviewing Alex from the IPL. Alex, how's it going, man?
Everything's going well, man. You know, we're excited. We're only a couple days away from launch, so very busy stuff. We're all still here at the office, but other than that, everything's great.
Well, thank you for coming on, and I just want to start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you came to be the esports operation and marketing manager there over at IGN.
Well, honestly, it was a lot of it was sort of right place, right time. Both myself and Edward, who's another manager here at IGN. Basically, we were both root managers, and we've been doing a lot of stuff for Justin TV, which was one of our early sponsors and one of our early contacts. And Justin TV and IGN works pretty closely together, and Justin TV really liked what we did for some of our root gaming invitationals, and it just happened to be the same time IGN was about to launch this project. So, it was a combination of hard work, right place, right time, and a recommendation from Justin TV. So we're very happy about that.
Awesome, man. You guys are launching on Thursday, going live with your first ever stream. What is your biggest fear right now, kind of looking forward to that day?
Well, I think, really with any type of production, no matter how much time you put into it, there's always going to be that little nagging fear that, you miss something, or the stream's going to go down, or something stupid's going to happen. But, really, I've full trust in our preparations. We've been working on this a long time, so instead of, panicking right now, it's just like a nagging fear. And, I have full trust that everything's going to go well, or as well as any day one broadcast can go.
So we're going to be taking some user questions from you guys in the chat here in just a little bit. But IPL Season 1's got 16 players, and you guys have stated this season is kind of a test in a lot of ways. Moving forward, what are some of the changes we can expect in terms of size of players and also size of the prize pool?
Well, as far as the players and the prize pool goes, we're going to be going from 16 to 32 players, and we're going to have a minimum of 50K for Season 2. And really, the important part is we're actually moving away from the invitational system. The only reason we did invitationals right now is because we were able to set everything up in advance, and everything is a lot more easy and structured without having to do qualifiers to begin with. So out of the 32 players for next season, only 4 of them are going to be from IPL 1, and that's the top 4. That's some of the prizes the top 4 get to go on automatically. And the other 28 are going to be filled from online qualifiers. So while we're still working out the details of the qualification process, we do want to be as inclusive as possible in terms of region and skill level, and really we want to try to bring some new blood to be able to get part of the spotlight. In addition to hopefully seeing a lot of the old blood, the recognizable names. It's kind of weird to talk about new blood and old blood with the game only being out for a year, but I think there's sort of a defined sort of area around there. So in addition, we hope to bring in some more staff to do a lot of sort of esports related content as long as the IPL 1 is successful as well.
So before we jump in to start talking a little bit about the staff, there is so much right now to watch in the StarCraft 2 world. We've got the NASL, GSL, MLG, streams just happening on a daily basis for a ton of different tournaments with so much prize pool. Why should people watch the IPL?
Well, first, that's such an awesome problem to have. Obviously I've been a StarCraft 2 fan, and I love every single event and every single organization that's out there, and I watch all of it. It's fantastic. And, really, at the core, we're all just big fans of esports here, and we're all happy about this type of environment because when esports succeeds as a whole, it helps all of us because it like fosters like a professional environment for esports to grow, and in the end, everyone's going to benefit. But really, I think in terms of like comparing us to other organizations, I think our level of production is going to set us apart. We've contracted with Well Played, the guys who did the SCRI, SC Reddit Invitational, which was such a fantastic event. We were just so impressed by them that we knew we had to bring them on board, and they've been fantastic. So we have a lot of production involved in what we've done so far. And in addition, I think it's going to be a little bit regionalized in terms of how much content there is. I think it's going to start becoming Americans and Europeans watching, IPL, NASL, and the Koreans more focused on the GSL. And in terms of broadcast time, I don't really consider the TSL a competitor in that sense. I'm a huge fan of them; they do a great job. But I think really the VOD watching is going to be the main competition point because people only have so much time in the day to watch VODs, and everyone's going to be offering VODs. So ours are going to be free, and I think our production level is going to set us apart there as well. So, huge respect for everyone. I really hope everyone succeeds. But I think in terms of production level, we're going to be potentially one step above.
Cool. Well, that sounds good. We'll have to wait and see and get our own opinion for everything. Let's talk about your staff a little bit. Why did IGN choose yourself, and also why is Edward helping you out? And also tell people about Edward for those who don't know about him.
Edward's great. He's basically like the head offline manager for Root Gaming. We're both what you consider offline managers in terms of dealing with organizations and sponsors and website content and that kind of stuff. So really, like what I said in the beginning, it was pretty much just the connection through Justin TV and all the hard work we put into the Root Invitationals, which a few people in this cast have participated in. And, Justin TV knew we were doing them on a straight shoestring budget, and they basically told IGN, hey, you give these guys some money, and they can probably do some crazy stuff. So, big props for IGN in terms of, sort of reaching out there. It's all basically the passion of one vice president here that's made this happen. So it's been amazing. I feel ridiculously lucky to be where I am right now, and it's just been an amazing ride, and I hope it continues for a long time.
How many people are actually on your team there over at the IPL, and what kind of budget do you guys have to work with on something like the test season, which will be the IPL 1?
Well, right now we have 5 full-timers, which is we have 2 engineers who are doing like a lot of the video work and website development. We do have a video project manager who's awesome. She keeps everyone on track. And then I do operations and marketing, which is like dealing with the players and dealing with the casters and sort of communicating our goals and what we're doing to the community. And Ed is sort of like sitting above us, like playing with us and directing us to where we're supposed to go. So he's sort of like the mastermind right now in terms of management. So the awesome thing is that everyone here at IGN is so excited about this. We have so much volunteer help. Everyone from like the lawyers who are helping us get all the legal stuff set up, marketing, HR, everyone is just donating time. It's really cool. So we have so much help. We have we technically have a staff of 5 full-timers, but in reality, we can reach out to maybe 30 people and get help from them. So it's been fantastic how much help that they've been able to give us. As for budget, I don't know the exact number, but I can say for sure we've invested multiple times the amount of our $5,000 prize pool. So they're putting some serious money into this. This isn't just like let's throw them $5,000 and see what they can do. This is a serious production that they are planning for the future.
Now, one of the reasons that obviously a lot of eyes are on this tournament is because an organization like IGN is involved. How do they kind of receive StarCraft 2 as an esport and just esports in general over there? Are you guys kind of getting any shifty looks within the corporation, or is everyone just like, hey, it's esports, it's StarCraft 2, let's roll with it?
I think it's sort of more towards the latter. Everyone works at IGN because they love games. Everyone from HR to accounting, just the environment here is fantastic. So overall, the environment's pretty supportive. But at the same time, IGN didn't get to be where they are by, just throwing caution to the wind on passionate projects. So, there's excitement, but there's also a business level here. So there's a very tough level of expectation and professionalism they expect from us. And really, I don't think I'd have it any other way. If they were just throwing money at the problem, which I think has been in the past an issue with other organizations, that I wouldn't be as excited or maybe not have taken a job because I passed up a legal career in law school to do this. So, I really believe in what IGN's doing. They have a great sort of look on how this is, and they're able to help us out a lot, and everything's been really great. So they're definitely excited, but they're definitely wanting to make sure that we come through.
So one last question I have before, of course, Tyler and well, everyone here will have their chance to ask questions.
But Tyler first, though, right?
Always Tyler first.
Yeah, I
Even
thought so.
even if he has his mic muted, he's still going to talk first regardless.
Always me first. There we
I
go.
prefer that.
What does IGN want from esports, and what do they really see themselves a year from now, 2 years from now, doing in esports?
Well, obviously, this is a business aspect to it. Part of the reason why IGN's doing this is because there's a ridiculously huge potential market here that really isn't being targeted as well as I think a lot of places could. IGN knows that people are growing up playing games. It's such a common experience now that's shared by a ton of people, so we really feel like we can help making playing games legit and grow the potential market for esports, which is great for us, and it's also great for the esports fans, because then they get higher levels of production, they get more options to watch. They can sort of determine what they want to watch, what they want to see succeed by basically voting with their viewer count. So really, my bosses at IGN see this industry growing enormously in the next few years as this comes to prominence, as more big companies latch onto this and they see the potential. And really, we want to be like a launching pad for esports gaming in general, not just for StarCraft 2. There's a bunch of other great games out there. I don't want to name names and get expectations up, but we're definitely looking at other games as well. And while we really think StarCraft 2 is sort of the bedrock we would launch from, there's so many great other opportunities and communities out there that deserve their time in the spotlight too. But obviously StarCraft 2 is the big daddy right now. That's what my background's in. That's what we're in love with here. So really, the end goal is they want to make it so pro gamers can actually be an actual job and be appropriately compensated. Because right now the money out there's money, but it's not much, and not many people can actually support themselves on it. And we really feel like it should be more along the lines of poker or other sort of professional activities like that. So they want to make it a prestigious profession that's respected and sort of adored by the public, make them celebrities. So that's what we hope to do. That's our end goal.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. So we're going to take a couple questions from the chat after we get some of these other casters here and players who have some questions. So Tyler, you got to go first, man. It's just how it rolls.
So I guess when I think of IGN getting into the esports business here, I think we can bring in new StarCraft 2 fans, because a problem with the community is it's the same people, and I don't know how many people, maybe 100,000 people watching GSL, TSL, NASL, all the European tournaments, DreamHack, etc. And we need new blood, and from the spectator perspective, not just from new pro gamers perspective. So I think IGN, yes, we're going to get some of these people that are into other games, maybe never even heard of esports, but they definitely have a passion for gaming. They're going to come in. So I was wondering if you guys have specifically made some plans or some marketing strategies or something for IGN to use its position in the gaming industry to get new people interested into StarCraft 2 rather than winning over the current StarCraft 2 esports fans.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you. And honestly, if the community just stayed how it is now, it's probably not going to be able to sustain itself with all these events. So really one of the main issues is being able to bring people in a way that makes them feel comfortable watching it, not watching and not knowing what's going on. So while all the players were here, we had some of our editorial staff sit down with them and walk them through games. They actually play games in our studio, and our editors recorded them talking through the games with them. So we're definitely trying to revitalize sort of our esports area, our StarCraft 2 area, to get more people involved. If they see it and they're curious, we want to make sure that there's a place they can go to that they can learn and understand it. I mean, StarCraft 2 is an attractive game in and of itself, but it's it's sort of surface. It's really hard to understand what's going on sometimes. So we also tried to get commentators that are good sort of dealing with the general community and would be comfortable bringing in new people. So while there's still the analysis and the great games for all the hardcore people, I think there's also a section, especially with the commentators we have, that can bring in sort of the newer blood and wouldn't turn people off immediately. So I think that is definitely key, bringing in the new talent, and then not new talent, but new watchers, and then keeping them.
Who are the commentators again?
Would be DJ Wheat, HD, and Pain User casting together. We also have Cat's Pajamas and Total Biscuit.
you tell me a little bit about Pain User as a commentator? What was
that's actually some of the user questions too. They're wondering what made you guys choose Pain User and HD as some of your casters.
Well, what let you choose? What let you have HD choose Pain User?
Well, I mean, HD is when we were first talking to him, we were talking about doing him solo because of all the YouTube viewers, and he's really good solo. But we started to see some of the things that he had been doing together. They had started doing some casts online, and in sort of a way, it also brings us some credibility, I think, from some of the harder core people, like the hardcore TL viewer, that he really brings like a really good level of analysis to the game. I've been listening to some of his casts that he's been doing. I think people are going to be pretty pleasantly surprised by the quality of what he's doing. He's actually an incredibly hard worker, and he really wants to make this succeed. So I've been very impressed by him, and I hope people give him a chance, and I think that they'll be rewarded for it in the end.
Sean, do you have any questions for Alex?
I mean, this is what happens when you're the last person who's asked.
Have any
it's like, well,
questions?
actually don't. I mean, I just want to throw in that I've heard Pain User's commentary because HD actually submitted a commentary of him and Pain User for the countdown party, and he's good. So I'm happy to see him do more commentary.
He's a very studious player. He knows a lot about the game. So.
Oh yeah, he knows a ton about the game, so that's always good to know.
Dan says it's going to be fine, people. So it's going to be fine. The Lord has spoken.
You get like Pain User's placed like top 8 at more than one MLG, so I mean, you don't get there by just sort of clicking buttons randomly. So
yeah, he's pretty legit.
One last question from the chat from the Warbler. He wants to know: is IGN going to have? Is it all going to be online, or are you guys going to have any LAN type tournament, kind of like what NASL has at the end of Season 1? Is his question.
Right now, we want to make this as successful to as many people as possible, but hopefully all across the world. So right now, we're sticking with online, but really the future possibilities are endless in terms of what we want to do. Obviously, the live event has such a cool vibe and atmosphere to it, but we're also not the same type of area as, like, you can look at Korea, where they're all concentrated in the one area. We're all spread out, which is part of the problem. So, I mean, we would love to do live. It's not going to happen for IPL 1, probably not IPL 2, but you never know. So, we're still laying plans down. We would love to do something live, and it's definitely something we'll be keeping in touch about, and, definitely give us your feedback, and, we're looking at places we could potentially do it, and we would love to have that happen. I think that would be such a cool environment, and, I go to the MLGs, and I think they're awesome, so I would, of course, love to have something like that, but I don't know if it's not on the cards for the first one, at least.
IdrA, I just want to say thank you for coming back, fixing everything on the overlay side of things. Everyone was
I'm
freaking
glad I
out.
can help.
Freaking out. Oh, no, the overlays are best. Just calm down. They're going to fix it.
Super technical Greg. Restarted the computer.
I fixed everything.
IdrA fixed it all, guys.
I can see Sean now. It's perfect.
There you go.
Hey, that's what I call perfection.
He's the
Because
man
it used to
with the
just be
plan.
a direct line between me and Noni.
Alex, real quick, before we let you go, where can people check out the stream and check out more about the league?
They can absolutely check it out. They should check it out at www.ign.com/IPL. We also have some fantastic Twitter accounts that we have people from IGN talking to people, and we actually do respond to you. So it's twitter.com/IGN Pro League, Facebook/IGN Pro League, YouTube/IGN Pro League. Anything out there /IGN Pro League, we will be there, and we will be listening to you.
Sounds good, man. Well, thank you for coming on, and good luck on Thursday with your first cast.
Thanks, guys. We're very excited. So a couple people in this call are going to be in it, so it's good stuff.
Cool. Well, we will talk to you later, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.
All right, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to actually, I was talking with Tyler. This is the state of the game, and we haven't actually talked about the state of the game in probably, 4 or 5 episodes. So I just want to, just some general thoughts. Start off, when are we going to start seeing new players? Right now it just seems like it's the same pool at the top, and IdrA's going to screw up everything again.
No, I think it's still working.
I have an answer.
All right, you answer that, I'll fix the overlays.
Greg's hands
All
are
right.
at his side. It's a great
What
message.
What I'm excited for is that all tournaments now are making a shift to just bringing more people in, as in like you just click the button and then now you're in the tournament. because that was a huge issue with pretty much, I guess, almost every tournament. I mean, you just kind of had to be invited. You had to be, or else you wouldn't get in. And interestingly, the Gosu coaching leagues, where they were completely open, some really good players came out of there and sort of spilled over into the invitee list. And I just think there's plenty of really high masters and even grandmasters who are just no names but are really good. So the fact that now there's more means to enter is just totally kick-ass. So I think that's kind of a natural step for the growth of esports, where companies are saying, okay, we want to step into this space. Let's do something easy. Let's just get 16 players, get a prize pool, and all right, cool. That's how we'll do it. Because I think IGN's approach, which is actually one I'm referencing right now, is very, very smart. I mean, it's so safe, because let me tell you something. I tried to get 8 players to play games and send me replays, and that almost didn't happen at all. 8 players was an almost complete and total crisis. So it's smart to sort of scope down. And then once companies are sort of okay, we're sort of getting the feel of things. Now let's bring in everybody as a participant. So I'm definitely pumped. But you're right, we haven't seen new faces, and that upsets me. I thought Moonin was new, and it turns out it's just all about you. Ugh.
Yeah,
that stinks.
He did trick a couple people. Jeff, what do you think? Why aren't we seeing new faces, and what is it going to take?
Well, actually, I think there's a couple things here to talk about with that point. I mean, that's an excellent topic. I think the first one is that one of my concerns, actually, earlier on in StarCraft 2 was that because it was so volatile in the sense that strategies weren't hammered out, mechanics were kind of being figured out, the maps were still, good or bad, people weren't necessarily sure. A lot of top gamers were getting slayed left and right by everybody because the game was just in such chaos, and now it's kind of evened out. People are kind of honing in on what you need to do to win, and that's why you're seeing the same faces rising to the top over and over again, because it's a highly technical real-time strategy game. I think that's a natural effect for that. Like in Brood War, every tournament you hosted, there was always the same people, but the cool storylines was the Cole or the Young Mana or the JF who would what the hell are they doing in the top 5? And then that was the story of the month. I think we'll still see that in StarCraft 2, and we still do to a certain extent, especially in Korea. I feel like their top players keep rotating around all the time. But in the non-Korean world, I do feel like it's the same faces because, for the most part, they're the ones that are putting in the most time, and dare I say, they're the most talented.
Tyler, IdrA, do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think outside Korea, you're a lot less likely to see people rise up. It was the same way towards the end of Brood War. You still have, in Korea, you still have new players coming up and reaching the top levels in Brood War, just because there's so many people trying so hard. Anyone who has the talent is eventually going to make it up there. But outside Korea, it's so hard to actually focus on gaming until you've made it to an extent. You still have to do school, you still have to do work, you still have to pay attention to other people. And that makes it really hard to catch up with everyone who's already put in all that time and is more established than you and stuff. But really, inside Korea, I think the game is too volatile. We see too many new players coming up. It's too hard to have a star player to root for, which is really important for marketing.
I can't believe you just said Rut again.
Root. God damn it.
I will fix you, Greg. I will fix you.
Greg, I got your back. Don't worry about this. JP McDaniel called cement cement.
Dude, it's the mint to the sea. It's the mint to the sea, man.
No, he's
break up that word.
It was have you seen Mythbusters? They use some fancy formula to ruin the cement.
Alright, it's April 19th, and this is State of the Vocab.
I know, that'd be so awesome. Busted! Cement is not a word.
It's the mint to the sea, man. Mint to the sea. Tyler, you haven't spoken yet. You gotta get your thoughts on it.
Well, everyone else kind of covered it. That's the bad thing about going last. Maybe I should stop complaining about going first.
You can't steal that.
But, I mean, you're not going to have new players take over the scene every single new tournament. What's going to happen is there's going to be depending on how many people are in the tournament, there will be some unknowns, maybe 3 or 4 you're really watching out for, and maybe 1 or 2 of them will do pretty well. They might not outright win the tournament out of nowhere, but they'll do pretty well, and you have to recognize that that's a huge accomplishment. Like if somebody like goes through a couple rounds, and I'm very afraid of talking about Cruncher and his run through the TSL with Greg on the show.
He's
but,
smiling,
like,
man. He's good. He's over it.
That's kind of like
you can't be mad about something that absurd.
exactly. Okay, so nobody's mad here. I mean,
Everyone's
like,
so
Cruncher,
happy to talk about it.
Yay! Let's talk about Greg losing. Let's go.
Okay, but I mean, okay, come on. Like, Cruncher's an up-and-coming dude. Like, when he first entered the
True,
TSL, everyone's like, okay, he's a nobody. He's just going to lose to Greg in the first round. And then, despite what is actually going on there skill-wise, from a spectator perspective, it's a new and upcoming guy that's, like, making a run through a really prestigious tournament. So, I don't know, you'll see something like that. You'll see, like...
That would have been a much
5.
better example.
Thorazane. Tyler, I think Thorazane may have been a
Well, every single time that we're like, hey, this European isn't that good, I never heard of him, there's like a billion Europeans that are like, you ignorant
They hide in the
fucking
bushes.
American,
They
you
hide in
don't
the
know
bushes,
the
yeah.
Europeans. Thorzane's so good, what are you talking about? He's been so good forever.
again or
So,
I don't know what accent this is. But
actually,
that's what they say.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
every single European is already a top player if you're an American. That's if
true.
you want to be respectful and not offend anyone, then there are no up-and-coming Europeans. They've already
They're
been
all
good for
already
months,
known.
and we're just ignorant. So
One thing I want to add to that, though, not necessarily that point, is the thing about StarCraft 2 is it takes time, right? Like a lot of students will say, well, how do I, I'm thinking about going pro. What do I do? And I'm like, well, do you have 10 hours a day to dedicate to this game? Do you make enough money where you can support yourself? Are you in a place in your life where you can do that? Those are all big factors. It's literally a time equals success in this game to a certain extent. Obviously, if I play 23 hours a day, I'm not going to be the best player. I just won't. But you do need around that much time, and that's a really privileged place to be. So it hurts a lot of like new players, because the other thing too is that if you spend that much time and you are established as a top player, now you're practicing with other top players. So how do people come up from the bottom of the scene, finding that time, having the money, and then also practicing with top people? Because they're not very like, hey, I'm in the top of my diamond division. Do you mind if I practice with you guys? No, they just won't do it. So it's really difficult for people to ascend. And I did use that word purposefully.
Jeff, I want to go back. Tyler brought up Cruncher. I want to talk to you about his style of play. I just find it to be the most boring Protoss, no matter what matchup it is. I guess PVZ is really, because that's what he's been casted a lot. But it is so incredibly boring, and I want to know what your thoughts are on his play style as a fellow Protoss.
It frustrates me that it works, because I feel like in order to, and I'm just waiting for the snarky comma from Greg every time I say anything about Protoss, but I guess the point that I'm trying to make, I know, there's like 7 of them, I'll just talk over it, is like, he literally sits back, maxes out, and this is generalizing, so there's going to be a lot of people who are like, that's not what he does, I saw this one game, it's like, okay, I understand, but for the most part, his MO is to sit back behind his defenses, get this like super army, and then push out for kind of like a one-punch kill. And for me as a Protoss player, I think the highest level of Protoss, I think the best way a Protoss can play is super active, super, like there's a lot of mind games going on, feinting aggression here, then spilling over into real aggression there, trading text, faking text, hallucination scouting, map awareness. I think, like when we see the true form of like the super Protoss, I feel like that's what it's going to look like. It's not going to be a, man, did you see how well he took those 3 bases and then maxed? It was so good, and then he attacked.
He sat there and then moved in
So,
with the Void Race.
When I see Cruncher play a best of 3 with a player like IdrA, and then come out on top, it frustrates me for both players, because Greg did not play his best in that match. But it frustrates me that he can play that way, get 15 Void Rays, and then win the game. And I think it just doesn't look good.
I would just like to say God bless Cruncher, because every single moment of esports needs a guy who's sitting on his boring-ass, dry, effective strategy, winning, and that's it. It's like when Flash did his really fast +2/+1 Terran versus Protoss build, and all the Protoss were like, I can't do that at all. You have to proxy gate in his base to stop it. That's the counter. or change Zerg at the last second. You know, it was like stupid, and then like over time, players started to just get a couple more upgrades and arbiters, and it was still hard, but it created some cool games. It turned out you couldn't quite be that passive anymore. So I'm delighted that we have one player who's sort of sitting on a style that's like super effective, because it is so good for any people who are just like, oh, the game's imbalanced and Blizzard will never do anything! Well, if one player is only doing one strategy and has stopped losing, Blizzard will actually notice. Well, I shouldn't say it like that. Blizzard will notice and make a change. The fact is that Blizzard does like follow the tournaments and watch, and they sort of are very leery of ever doing some huge change like that, but it's so great. Dear Protosses, please copy Cruncher, and if everyone plays like Cruncher, and no Zerg in the whole world can find a solution, also change.
Greg, please cuss at Sean.
No, that's right. I'm actually kind of happy that Cruncher beat Mondragon, because someone that bad consistently winning games, that has to draw everyone's attention. Like,
Oh, Mondragon played so good.
No, dude, like
no, Mondragon did play good, and he still fucking lost.
He didn't make infestors.
Yeah, well, that's one thing. I don't think a single Zerg in the entire TSL made a lot of infestors.
Nope.
They're really not as good as they should be versus Protoss. I didn't say they were bad. I said they're not as good as you would expect when you see that buff.
Jeff
They
was
are
just
not-
baiting you all night to laugh at you because he knew you would say that, man.
Dude, wait, no, hold on. I want to back up. Wait. Greg, or not Greg. Greg, hold on a second. I have a thing, Jeff, I need to sort out. Why were you like curse at him? That's a great point I just made. Players who sit on their strategies help the movement of the game.
Well, I'm okay with players doing it, but beckoning all players of a race to play a lame style so that it'll get adapted is kind of
Maybe
weird.
that was a little over the top. I was like, guys, stop making anything but Void Race. Stop it. Cut it out. Be cool.
Sean,
You wanna-
Sean
No, I
isn't aware that he can
completely-
actually control the masses like that. So
One thing,
Completely agree with that. It's so frustrating to watch Protosses do dumb shit when I know how good that is, and then Zergs beat them because they're doing the dumb shit, and then have everyone point to that and say, no, look, it's fine.
yeah, they all champion him. Yeah.
Yeah,
To your point.
I hate that.
Let's
And
talk.
part of me, like, I just want to throw this out there. I just want to say that there maybe has been a player who exists, like, we're just picking a player random here. I don't know, maybe a Zerg, who says that I played better than him but lost, right? I personally have had the experience. Like I'm kind of like teasing a little bit, Greg, but I mean I know that there's 1,000,001 instances of a player being like, what the hell? He just sat with NAPM and built a Void Ray every minute, and then attacked me and won. I personally have kind of had like I don't know if you've had this experience, like any of you fine panelists, but where I feel completely like I'm thinking 1,000,000 years ahead, but I'm still losing, and then finally when the solution clicks in place, not only do I start winning all those frustrating situations I didn't lose, but he feels like way behind. Because my understanding is like so deep. Like if there's an imaginary Protoss who only makes Colossus and Void Ray, and that's a strategy and derp, you know, then once that strat's cracked, then, you know, players like you, IdrA, who, by the way, I say is completely not facetiously, you're fucking awesome at Zerg, right? I will just say that. Like, that if there's a solution that allows you to always Cruncher style, then you'll be, like, fucking so untouchable. Have you guys
Oh yeah, obviously that's like
I'm screwed,
That's-
like, so often.
that's like a huge part of every Zerg player's point is all these Protoss and Terran get by. That's why Terran seemed absolutely shitty versus Zerg for a while after the barracks nerf and stuff. It's because people didn't think they could play a macro game, but it was just because they were all awful because they were getting by on those cheesy strategies. So that's like a huge part of the whole the frustration. It's gonna be very satisfying to watch Cruncher disappear.
JP, we're going to talk about TSL later, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it now because I'm going to be so happy.
No. We'll come around to the TSL.
I got a comment though about
Tell us
Greg
not to drop
tending-
knowledge.
Greg tending to say like he played better than someone that he lost, and I know Sean has a problem with that in a way. But there's like a thing going on in StarCraft, especially when you play for a macro game and you have a plan for maybe a 20 or 25 minute game if it goes to that, where like you do and you plan to do a lot of like very hard to do things, and like the reason that they're hard to do is because you're playing safe, because you're accounting for everything, you're not taking a single risk, and that like makes game plans hard because you have to buy safety by depending on mechanics. So you say, I have the best macro in the world, that means I can sacrifice economy here for a little more safety to be ready for anything. And then you have to play perfectly. You have to play up to the standard of mechanics that you set for yourself that might be the best in the world so that you can buy safety. And so that's like the standard Greg plays to, is some of the best mechanics in the world. And he plays out this long-ass game, and the fact is, StarCraft is so unforgiving. Like, you make one mistake, you haven't learned one lesson about the game, the way it plays out in a certain way, then you just lose. You could have learned 100 lessons in your past, 3 weeks of playing. In fact, every time you get punished for something, you could learn perfectly the very next time and never lose to the same thing again. But there's just one more thing, and the guy just happens to do it. And he was playing risky the whole time, but it all paid off because you were playing safe, etc., etc. And that's kind of what it means to play better but still lose. And I really sympathize with that, because that's also my ideal way of playing, is really safe. And it's just really, really, really hard to do. And I support Greg.
Good way to wrap that up.
Dude, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. I'm not gonna lie. When you have a 45-minute game plan, you get killed at minute 6. I find every innocent animal nearby and I just squeeze it till it dies. And he's like, "Hey man, good game. Want to play again?" I'm like, "No, motherfucker!" So bad. Oh, it's very frustrating, but never give up, never surrender.
Let's move on and talk about another player. This time it's Zerg coming up. Spinishiwa, who's just been blowing up everywhere, partially because Sean never stops talking about him, and also features him on Friends Day Vista.
He came on the Friends Day.
I know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, man. Calm down. But he's introduced this new style of Zerg that some Zerg players haven't really started using yet, and I want to know, IdrA, what are your thoughts on Spinishiwa's style? And here's a little bit of Spinishiwa right here on the...
I've been trying basically everything I can find in CVP. I saw him at the end of that series versus Minigun, just the last game. So I've been playing with it a little bit. It's really good versus any kind of cheese. If the Protoss doesn't fast expand, you end up ahead. But 3-gate expand or Forge expand are the two best builds right now, I think. So that's not really something great to rely on. I really do like the fact that it gets you quick baneling drops. It's great just having a way to force Protoss to multitask. But again, that's largely because so many Protoss players are pretty bad, and they're just getting by on abuse right now. So it's it's hard to tell if it's actually good. I don't think it's a solution to the matchup, but it's something interesting to look at, and there might be some principles from it that should stick around.
Sean, you've been... Oh, I thought you were done, Greg.
Also, kind of trying to figure out where the hype is around him, because he beats Minigun, who's mediocre 4-3, and all Minigun does is warp gate all-ins, which this strategy is very good against. So people should stop the hype a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the hype that people talk about is that I think you can safely say he popularized a new style of Zerg.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone ever does that, it's pretty famous.
And also, I want to throw out there that it's so easy in the opening stages. Kind of like what Tyler was saying before, where you have to rely on the thinnest advantages ever, where it's his probe was at a 42-degree angle, so I knew that he couldn't be possibly building a pylon. It's okay, I have 4 spine crawlers and 5 queens, and so done, I'm safe. So I think a lot of Zerg players are suddenly feeling that ease of gameplay, and they feel like they actually have play and they actually have room to play around with constraints.
I don't really fully agree with that, because it's depending on your opponent to play a certain way. If they choose to fast expand, then there's no way for you to get an advantage. You're almost, as far as I can tell, you're guaranteed to end up at a disadvantage, which is just as bad. It's just not quite as frustrating because you don't lose immediately.
I wonder if there are ways to really adjust to it in sort of an extreme way.
Without gas, I don't see any pressure happening, and without gas, it's going to be really hard to defend a third base given warp gates. So I don't see how. Maybe there's something, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, because because what you're talking about, Greg, is once we're hanging out at Grandmaster, people practicing for Code S, there are all these ultra minor fine details that require hundreds of games to flesh out. And for all those situations, I wholeheartedly agree with you. There's just not that much data, and it's hard to tell. But I would definitely say for like, the first time I just sat down, I was like, let me give this a shot. I felt so much less pressure at the start of the game that I felt like, it's like if you wore like size too small shoes. You like put on, you're like walking around, you're like, this doesn't suck to walk.
Oh yeah, if you're playing someone quite a bit worse than you, then it's great because you're not going to die early, and that's a great feeling that Zergs usually don't get. So that I agree with completely.
I think it's cool to have in your like repertoire of something you're capable of doing, because what I look at the build as, for me as a Protoss, it changes like what I have to be prepared to face. It changes the meta game to a certain extent. And I think that's pretty exciting. Like I don't feel as comfortable going into a PvZ anymore, and I think that's a good thing for StarCraft 2.
And it also, I love the fact that like with the style, it's less a build and more like some concepts that you can like snag. Like in the early game, I mean, you could open up really fast link speed, and then just say, all right, I'm not going to mine gas for a really long time. I'm not going to go mine gas again until I'm at like 48 or 50 food. And I'm just going to rely on queens and spine crawlers and evo chambers. That's cool. I had a sentence. Where'd the sentence go? I was like, come on, brain. Come on, say it. And I was just like, bah.
Tyler.
Yeah.
We'll let Sean recollect his thoughts. Tyler, what do you think about the style?
I mean, it's definitely not complete as far as like what's necessary to win at a high level. Like for a tournament, not for ladder games. But yeah, I mean, what Greg said at the very start, there's concepts you can take out of it, and what Sean was about to reiterate, if he can gather his thoughts. There's definitely a lot of like different. I mean, the one thing that kind of jumped out at me and scared me for a second is like sometimes he's just like on the same or maybe even a slightly worse economy, and he's like floating a lot of resources anyway, but then he like has a really sick timing to like do some damage, and I'm like, that's not supposed to happen. And a lot of time it's because Protoss could defend it, they're just not yet, and they don't know what they're doing. But it's just, I mean, like what Jeff said too, it's just a little bit scary from the Protoss perspective of like Zergs are like opening their minds a little bit more beyond Roach Hydra Corruptor, and when they see what works and what doesn't work, and when some more minds get working on this, so get a little hive mind action on examining this stuff rather than Spanish Schwa just soloing it, then I think some scary things will come out of it. And that's all it takes is like one really key thing. Like if there's just one thing that can make Zerg mid-game really strong, then that could like flip the whole matchup.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so that's
like when the Corsairs became popular in Brood War. Just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Boom, game over.
Yeah, it really only takes one like really strong thing that's reliable, and even if your opponent knows it's coming, can't like hard counter it, or their safe strategies can't hard counter it. That's all it takes to really like revolutionize the matchup. So if something like that comes out of it and it ends up being robust, then Zergs are going to rejoice, and Protoss are going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to take care of it.
They're going to go back to the boards and start crying again or something like that.
Yeah.
Are there any other styles out
November of 2010.
Yeah. Are there any other styles out there from the other races that haven't been as prominent yet? They don't have a Spanishiwa kind of pushing them forward, or don't have the hype that Spanishiwa does have pushing that build forward? For, I guess, Sean, you'd probably be someone that could talk about Terran, and Tyler and Jeff for Protoss. Is there anything like that?
I think Terrans suffer from the same thing Zergs do, where they don't really have the creative model. Like, there's nobody that's like pushing the trends for Terran right now.
Yeah.
I feel like they're pretty nebulous, whereas the Protoss kind of have leaders. Like, styles are coming out of the Protoss play, and people are mimicking it, and it's like forwarding our trends a lot faster. Whereas, and I mean, I'm speaking to great generalities, but I just don't feel like there's a, like, MVP played the most generic, bland style of TV everything, and he was ahead of the curve because he was playing a strong macro game for a season or two, but now he's actually kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit too, because he's just doing the same stuff.
Jeff, your girlfriend just called me on Skype. I can't answer it though, or it's going to kill this call, so Check out my stuff.
GG.
GG indeed.
You could put us all on hold, and none of us would ever know, but all the viewers and you would be in on the joke.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more thoughts about some of the other races?
I mean, I was gonna say, like, if you asked me a month ago, I'd say the Forge style for PVT was coming up. But actually now, I feel like Terran is in the position where, well, now the Forge style has come up and Marine Marauder is not so good anymore. Upgrades kind of own it. The only way Marine Marauder does okay is if they can keep up with upgrades, which isn't really an option because of Chrono Boost and the way builds work. It's really just easier for Protoss. So their answer right now, I think, is sort of to start mixing mech in where they can. And I think a lot of that's been very map dependent. Like, this is a map where tanks can actually do really well, so I'm going to do my tank build on this map. And this map, it won't work well, so I'll have to do this other composition. So I think Terran right now, they're all, I mean, quite a bit of the Terran players are messing around with mech TVP, and it might be very map dependent, but they're all working on something. So I think the up and coming thing maybe for TVP might be mech. If someone actually is really stubborn about going MMM, even against these double Forge builds, I'll be interested to see how they're pulling that off. But as for other matchups, nothing really springs to mind.
I don't know if there's anyone actually using it yet, but I've been waiting for ghosts to become a thing in TBC, especially late game. Just like EMP on Infestor and snipe on Broodlords. Because Broodlord Corruptor Infestor is really, really fucking good now, because Vikings are armored, so Fungal destroys them, and without them, Broodlords just kill everything. So I'm waiting for people to start using ghosts for that, but I don't think I've seen anyone at all do it, so I don't know if you can really say it's up and coming.
TLO, man. Of course he's doing it.
Oh yeah, he scared me. He scared me off of using Corruptor, Broodlord, and Infestor back when he was in Korea, because he started EMPing it when no one else even knew ghosts existed in PvC.
Yeah, he'll EMP your fucking Infestors and snipe your Broodlords.
Yep.
He'll start nuking too, why not?
Why not? Broodlords can't run away from a nuke.
LC Gamer and Greetor both do those things. I had never seen snipe against Broodlords. Oh my god.
Pretty good. Actually, I did see one game. I randomly tuned into Brad O'Kay's stream one day. It's like the only game I ever saw him. And he was doing complete hardcore mech turtle on Lost Temple. And when it was half map versus half map, he put down like 5 barracks and started pumping ghosts. Got like 12 of them. And just destroyed a complete flock of Broodlords that was completely unexpected.
A gaggle of Broodlords.
And he just sniped all of them. It was amazing. And
I
scary.
will say another thought on the topic is I think Jeff kind of previewed it a little bit earlier, but his ideal God Protoss with the constant pressure and stuff, we have those tools, man. Like, Warp Prisms are wicked fast, and Blink Stalkers, even though, I mean, hard to use because they require so much attention. And yeah, Phoenixes, like, we have these fast, really mobile units, and, you know, Warp In with Warp Prism, we have all the tools, but I think the problem kind of is that, like, we're not, like, losing tournaments, so...
Dude, every Protoss, please sit on Cruncher style. Stop innovating.
Yeah, like, and I feel like we have other things we can go to, so I'm not really worried if, like, for 3 months straight, Protoss start losing tournaments. But, like, it's hard, like, for example, for a player like Cruncher, you're not going to ask Cruncher to start, like, experimenting and shit in the middle of
It's always when
TSL.
Tyler talks, too.
Answer it. Go for
Yeah,
it.
sorry, Tyler. Hello, Anna.
Hi.
You actually called JP first, so I'm kind of inclined to hang up on you a little bit.
Well, I told you I was going to do that last week, but you didn't even answer me, so...
I know. Who are you going to call now? Do you need Tyler's number?
What?
Do you need Tyler's number for the next state of the game?
Yeah, I kind of do.
All right, his number is...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say it on the screen.
You can just get an overlay with Tyler's Twitter and number underneath that.
Hey.
What are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing state of the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have questions for you guys if you want it.
Sure.
Actually, I have two. Can I have two?
Okay.
is, there's so much StarCraft on right now with NASL and everything else. NASL is every day, and I'm feeling like I could be watching StarCraft like 24/7. And I'm wondering how you guys think that's going to affect the players and the viewers and the organizations that are putting those on, but also esports in general, because people are going to have to make the decision of, first of all, which organizations are going to watch, but then also prioritizing watching StarCraft over the rest of their life, like I'm having to do. So that's my first question. You guys aren't answering questions now yet, are you?
No, never, honey. Always at the end.
Oh. Well, then my second question is specifically about State of the Game, because I listen to State of the Game when I work out, and I'm curious what you guys would recommend people do while they listen to State of the Game.
Okay. Well, we'll ask those at the end. Thank you very much, Hannah.
Okay, tell Dave T that he's not my temporary boyfriend anymore.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and my other question is what he thought of the video I made him, but I don't even care anymore because we're not friends.
Oh, okay.
But I do care.
All right, honey.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So what you're saying there?
Oh man, that was great, dude. I love the idea that she is telling us about working out while listening to State of the Game, and then she's going to download State of the Game and listen to herself talk about working out and listen to State of the Game while working out. Is that not Inception or what? That is great.
You know what? I want to give a shout out to people right now, because I know there's some of you out there that you're like, yo man, I was listening to Tyler drop some real fucking knowledge right then, and this girl, by the way, I hate girls because I don't have a girlfriend. This girl just interrupted it. Yo, fist pump.
Wait,
you nerds, I understand, man. I'm married, so like this is kind of hypocritical, but I gotcha.
Oh man.
You were dropping a serious think bomb down on this.
No, I like her interruptions though.
Dude, no, because
I'm a fan.
It happens every State of the Game.
Well,
Jeff has a healthy relationship where he and his girlfriend like talk every day or some shit.
No, the last 4 have been on purpose. The ones before that were all on accident, to be honest. The last 4, because what happened is we went to I think it was PAX East and MLG, and in 2 events in a row, people were literally you need to call every time. I love it when you do that. So now it's just gonna do it.
Oh man. Oh well. It's not a bad thing.
It is a good.
They're
good questions. So we can get to that.
Yeah. Well, I wrote them down, so we'll get to them. Sean, do not change your webcam or adjust it whatsoever, because it is frozen.
Oh my
and
god.
Possibly the best still image I've ever seen of you.
Oh my god. I'm loading the stream. I'm loading the stream. I'm loading the stream. I'm loading the stream.
Don't change it. Don't change it. So. I'll wait. I'll wait for the laugh. Just everyone sit and wait.
I can hear a knock on my door, and then that's what I see when I open it. That would be amazing.
Oh god, I can find out exactly what you're talking about in 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
So
I'm
gonna finish attempt to finish my point.
Okay.
I said finish in a combination of attempt.
I'm gonna attempt to finish.
I'm gonna finish my point.
It's all right, man.
Okay.
The cement's got you.
So look, I think there are some new things Protoss. This is so
You're just gonna get
Protoss
interrupted by
isn't
Sean
balanced.
laughing, by the way.
That's so interesting. Go on.
I'm Protoss
sorry.
is winning everything, but in case we don't win everything, we have all this other stuff we can do.
That sounds completely right.
Yeah.
God.
But yeah, I think there's some other things Protoss can do, and right now the very top Protoss aren't trying it right now because the most profitable for the way for them to play to be a pro gamer is to solidify the current style rather than doing some bizarre.
You're looking at it wrong, Tyler. We're not doing them because when we do, Blizzard takes it away from us. We're saving it.
We are oppressed, man.
No, dude. The Archon toilet. 2 weeks later.
That wasn't imbalanced.
Oh, it was incredible. I'm just saying, you gotta keep that.
Vortex heals all units now, and that's
We have to keep that on the back burner so that we can do it in front of a tournament.
We are so good at our current strategies, and they're so easy to win with. We don't need to practice them. We can just experiment and then fall back on these other things.
Well put.
No, but really, I think the future of Protoss will see some pretty cool shit.
I just gotta say, IdrA's cam is not frozen. He just does not change. I just want to get that out there. One last note to talk about for State of the Game. Grandmaster League, does this system even work? I mean, people can't get into it if they're not... Artosis, let's just get right down to it. Artosis will never be Grandmaster.
Not in the Grandmaster division.
He will never be Artosis, the Grandmaster StarCraft 2 player, because it is so hard to get into that someone literally has to not play for...
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks or something like that for a spot to open up. And then there's like a 1 in a billionth chance that it'll actually get it. So does the Grandmaster system work, especially when I would assume that Blizzard's going to start using this for their own tournaments, because they've always used their own ladders for things like BlizzCon. So whoever wants to take this first, Jeff, you answered before you spoke. So
the mere fact that Artosis is not in the Grandmaster division means it's absolutely correct.
I knew that was coming.
Best part about that is that there's going to literally be 3 pages on our thread of people saying, you know what? Loved the episode.
Artosis qualified for GSL and you didn't, so shut up.
You guys did great, but the ragging on Artosis has got to stop.
I just messaged him right now to see if he was listening to this, and he says
he's not his ladder. Still trying to get in there.
No, so I tweeted the other day that I was going to never shave until Artosis was Grandmaster. He counter-trolled me by saying I'm never going to ladder again. And so I just shaved right after that. But he's just going to play custom games for like the rest of his life, I guess.
Well, you know it's standard Artosis. If he, like... it's not that good anyways. Why would I want to be in there? But I agree with you. I think the system is flawed in the sense that the top 200 people are not the top 200 of the first 2 weeks that you get into the Grandmaster division.
Isn't Combat X like top 20
I mean, he was always going to be in there. You can't stop people from laddering. It is a ladder system, so it's not like it's the true top 200, but the fact that it's locked after an arbitrary set of time, and it's like really hard to go down or up, means that it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a cool thing if you did it, but it doesn't really mean anything, you know? And it's going to be really sucky when in a month or two they're like, hey, this next BlizzCon, top 8 are going. Boom, headshot. And then it's going to be like, well, you will see a Qatari, you will see, you know, who's
Combat X.
Combat X.
You're
going to see some weird ones.
So BlizzCon finals.
And I don't like that. I mean, I understand it from Blizzard's perspective. They want to advertise their ladder. They want to give it legitimacy. They want to put a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. But it sucks for people that are in the hardcore community that are like, you know, I'd rather see at BlizzCon the 8 coolest invites that they could find, you know? And that'd be cool.
Who else is not? I know Sheth isn't in there. I know Artosis isn't. Do you guys know?
LZ
Gamer's
Chef is in there.
Is he?
Yeah, he was number
Oh wait, he's number 1. Who? Someone lied to me and I didn't even think about it.
Oh wait a minute, he's actually crushing the Grand League.
He's number 1.
Got it a little wrong.
Maybe it wasn't Sheth. I forget the other name.
I can't even check. Every time I try to load up my profile, it
says input.
I know that
how annoying is that? I can't even click multiplayer because it just says input limit reached.
You know, my input limit rarely gets reached.
Really?
Like, I don't have that problem.
They must have been like, well, it's day 9. Let's give him more input limit.
I know, seriously. Because he doesn't shut up. The real problem is that my StarCraft crashes every single time I close it, with rare exceptions.
Well, when you close it, that's pretty awesome.
And it crashes a good amount of the time. Well, I mean, it like freezes up my whole screen. And I have to like reboot my computer.
Well, your computer is just a piece of shit.
It's not like I close it and it closes in not the way I would have. That's a bug. I told it to close and it did a weird thing, and now it's closed. But I don't know. It's been really unstable for me. And then the input limit thing is just hilarious.
Ridiculous,
it happens to me. We can't do anything. He like can't play Broodor anymore. It's like he types in his password. It's like you give us a command.
So this is half of a greedy request and half of a to screw over Artosis request. Maybe Grandmasters should get a higher limit. Like that's only 200 people per server. Like,
oh, right.
Dude, make it like
give me an unlimited input.
Boom, Artosis in.
Please, Blizzard, just take off Grandmaster's limits, man. Let us look at profiles. Like, this is our job, you know.
That's the least they can give us.
we have like VIP limits that there's no limit to it.
You need the data.
I mean, VIP inputs. There should be no limit.
Well, let's talk about the GSL, and we don't even really talk about the games except for, hey Tyler, I heard that MC lost.
Oh yeah, I did, man. I heard he's like a really solid macro player, and like he doesn't need to take risks, and when he does take risks, they're not actual risks. He actually knows how to play it all out. But then like this guy Pult Prime was like, hey, you're doing a dumb build, let me 2-0 you.
Wait, what happened?
MC's out of the
MC's an
GSL.
up and down. We're spoiling it for everyone right now, and they're all very
What
upset.
happened in Pult versus MC?
I didn't watch game 1. I watched game 2. He thought MC thought it was just Marines coming at him, and he pushed out with an expand and went. I think he went like 2-gate robo, and there was also Marauders right behind it, and Pult just like rolled over, killed the Nexus, and then fell back, got a bigger army, put up a ton of bunkers, so if he came with sentries, he was going to be prepared for it. He actually didn't come. Pult just got a huge army of Bio with a bunch of Vikings and pushed and killed MC in game 2. I didn't see game 1 though, so I'll have to catch the video of that.
It was worse than that. Like, Pult Prime just 2-raxed, and MC went 1-gate expand, and
Oh my god.
What map was that?
he just lost. It was on Zelnaga Fortress, probably
okay.
the least known map. Um,
I'm glad he lost.
But yeah, he just did these 1-gate expands, and they aren't safe. And he has no way of confirming what his opponent's build is. He just, you know, he can scout and see that there's only Marines, and then that doesn't really give him any true information. So the other guy, you know, the Terran can be 2-axing with the Tech Lab on the other barracks, and then that's a good game. But I think in the second game, I think he saw the Tech Lab. So it was a little bit different story on, you know, how he should read that. I'm not sure.
Can I get a confirmation that
you're wrong?
You are criticizing MC right now.
I'm criticizing him. Actually, you know, I'm not doing any new criticism. These are all
Same
old
criticism?
criticisms, and now I just have evidence. I'm like, hey,
Tyler,
yes,
Tyler,
that's right.
confirm old criticisms, but still criticizing MC.
Yep.
Yeah, rehashing the old criticisms with new evidence. But yeah, like, these were risky builds, and especially like after the way Pult beat him the first time. And that's what Artosis was saying. Artosis, his commentary was like, hey, Pult beat him the last time he went a 1-gate expand. He's going to go 3-gate expand now.
Didn't he go
play it
Nexus,
safe.
just Nexus first in that first game?
In the first game, he went Nexus first,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
In the
okay.
second game, he went 1-gate expand. In the second game, Artosis was like, hey, he's only got 1 gas. Looks like he's going to go 3-gate expand. It's a really safe build. It would be excellent for MC to do. And then MC just builds a Nexus, goes 1-gate expand, and then ends up losing. And, yeah, I mean, like I said, if he knew a safer way to play where he could still maintain like a high win rate, he would do it. He takes risks because that's what he thinks his best chance of winning is.
Mm-hmm. So, MC's out.
It's interesting because I agree with the philosophy that a Protoss player in a best of 3 or best of 5, or even just in their gameplay in general, like MC can't play a game that 1,000 people aren't watching, obviously. I think you do have to mix in timings and cheese because a Protoss player will just macro slower than everybody else if both of them are macroing. But they have to be like worried that the Protoss is going to do some kind of crazy cheese, so that's what slows him down a little bit. But I feel like every game I see from him is that theory. Like he's either taking a risk economically or he's taking a risk with a timing, right? And of course I don't see every one of his games, so obviously that's not the case, but it feels like his tournament theory is like extremely timing oriented or like risk oriented.
reading the chat. Apparently Huck just picked Terran. What are you guys talking about?
He random Terran and did a two Rex STV all in against Ellen Page and won. And Ellen Page was typing.
Is that Ellen Page to Marine King? Because I know he used that ID at some point.
Yeah, I want to say it is. I mean,
that would be fun.
I don't know, but he was typing OMG and like all caps like the whole game.
That sounds like Marine King.
Interesting. We don't really have that much else to talk about from Code S. I do want to say Mole Trap is doing an awesome job over there in Code A, casting with DOA. If you haven't checked it out, or you're reluctant to because of previous casters for Code A, do check it out. Mole Trap's doing an awesome job, and they're going to be on tonight, actually, I think, at 4 a.m. Central Standard Time, something like that. TSL, we're going to move on to that. And I just want to talk about each person's kind of series of the weekend for you guys. And Jeff, you brought it up first, so we'll throw it to you. What do you want to talk about TSL 3? We're going to spoil it for you guys that are all upset about spoilers already. Jeff?
Are there really people upset about that stuff?
Oh, yeah. But
how do you watch a StarCraft 2 talk show
I
and
don't
get
know.
upset about previous matches?
I don't know.
Anyways.
I don't have that type of brain.
I am so super excited about the Cruncher Mondragon series because there's so many angles to this that I find fascinating with StarCraft 2. There's the one, and I'll appease Greg real quick. Mondragon outplayed Cruncher and lost, and I thought that was fascinating for the following reason. I think it's because this game is so different from Brood War, at least in like the understanding of it, in the sense that he outplayed him, but he made the absolutely fatal flaw of never ever making a single infestor, and it made the difference. It was literally the reason he lost in 2 of the 3 games specifically. And I found that to be absolutely stunningly fascinating because like we didn't have that problem in Brood War because we just knew what you're supposed to make in the situations. But in this young game, we're kind of finding that you can't just outplay somebody and make anything and win. You actually have to make the correct units for the correct situation. Otherwise, even if you're the better player, you'll still lose. So I found that fascinating, but the most important thing to me was Mondragon's play. I thought was just, it felt like Zerg, and a lot of the Zerg players don't give me that feeling. Like, it was not ball versus ball, it was drop here, harass here, burrow there, spread here, Nidus Swarm there. It was mass expanding at the appropriate times, like, oh, you lost that army, kinda, double expand instantly. And it really reminded me of Brood War antics that I don't think a lot of Zergs are doing. So I was really excited.
Which game of that series was the really, really long, drawn-out one where kind of Mondragon was winning the entire time and then Cruncher just pushed?
Shakira's.
Second one.
Yeah.
Shakira's Plateau.
I caught that game live. That's the only one of the series, and I didn't understand whatsoever how Cruncher won.
IdrA had no economy and just attacked with the right composition versus
no
investors.
player.
Got into the production line, and that was
Well,
it.
like no units as well. I mean, it's kind of funny when the push out happened and there was just like 12 roaches on 3 corruptors, and that was about it.
Well, he'd been going mutas for some reason, and I don't even know where the mutas were, but it's not like it would have helped. But yeah, he shouldn't have been investing in mutas there.
The Mutos in the Middle Ops game were fascinating too, because at first it was like the smartest thing I've ever seen in the close air positions, like keeping the Protoss at home, but not in the same way that people have been doing. It was like a weird late game choice, but then he kept making them against the composition that was starting to solidify against anti-muta, and I felt really bad because he again totally outplayed Cruncher, but then lost.
IdrA, was your match of the weekend from TSL? Was it
I
Mondragon
only
versus
saw
Cruncher?
the first 3 of Mondragon vs. Cruncher and the Crevasse game of Sin vs. Boxer, so I can't really comment.
All right. Tyler, what about you? I know that you watched all the games.
Well, Cruncher vs. Mondragon, I think, for me, it's kind of the one I was most interested in. And I think what I would like to say about the Shakuris game is that defending is not that easy. I think people overemphasize the difficulty of Mondragon strategy, and then they don't recognize how hard it is to defend sometimes. And I actually think in a lot of situations it's easier to initiate the engagement. So if you're in control of when things are happening, that's a lot easier because you can, if you've planned that out intelligently and you already know your next like 3 or 4 moves, it's a lot easier than just not knowing what's going to happen and then having to react to things one at a time. Of course, a defender's advantage is supposed to help you against that, and Cruncher definitely had a defender's advantage there. But it's still not super easy. And I actually really thought Mondragon was going to break him, but Cruncher was playing with, pretty good mechanics. It's not like he's anywhere near the best Protoss in the world or anything, but I think he knew what he needed to do, and that's pretty much what he practices, especially at least on all his games on Shakuras. And so he's raised his mechanics to a point where even an onslaught like Mondragon had there, he's able to pull it together. So, yeah, a little bit of props to Cruncher for that game on Shakuras, I think, are in order. At least to say...
Just because Greg's here, would it be getting huge props if Greg wasn't here?
No, it has nothing to do with Greg being here.
Okay.
I think it's just the community is a little bit too strongly oriented to saying Mondragon played his heart out on Shakuras and Cruncher did this brainless thing that's really easy to do, and Cruncher won, and that's messed up. It's like, I'm not even trying to say that what they did was equally hard, or especially not that what Cruncher did was harder, even though in some ways it kind of is. I'm not even saying that. I'm not
You're
saying
being so
that,
careful right now.
Not saying that. I'm just saying, I think from the comments I saw from the community, they didn't fully appreciate how hard it is to do what Cruncher did in that game. That's all I'm saying. So a little bit of props there. And we had like the Cannon Rush game and the Metalopolis game, which played out really weird. I mean, the Cannon Rush game, I think a lot of like top Master Zergs and definitely Grandmaster Zergs were looking at that and were like, Mondragon, do you not know how to deal with Cannon Rush in StarCraft 2? Because he could have dealt with that a lot better. So that was kind of unfortunate to see that go down, especially because I wanted to see them play out their game on Tal'Darim Altar. And then we just saw that Cannon Rush game. So that might be a little bit of telling about Cruncher not being so comfortable playing out a long PvZ on Tal'Darim. Or it could have been just that he feels like Tal'Darim was the one map where Cannon Rush could really work. Or a combination of both. And then wrapping up on Metal, it was weird the way Mondragon played that out, but then definitely toward the end everyone was just like, come on man, get some infestors. I don't know if he could have played the early game better. I felt like maybe he could have, but I'd have to that would take some deep study from me. It just felt kind of weird for me for Mondragon, and I didn't feel like what Cruncher was doing should have been that great. But I guess if we think in the end that Mondragon just gets infestors and plays it out a little better than he wins, then I kind of do have the correct feelings there. So, yeah, that's all it takes is one thing to not know about the game, and you can outplay your opponent the whole time, and then that one thing kills you.
Sean, you casted all weekend long. What was your favorite series of the weekend from TSL 3?
Sen Boxer. Those games were all long and all good. And completely from a spectator standpoint, I was just an absolute blast to watch. Because, I mean, I didn't know the results going into any of the series, and it was just totally sweet. To see all the games be like so close, I kind of wanted Sen to advance, because, I mean...
Sen?
Yeah, I like Sen. I mean, it was hard. I like Sen, I like Boxer. I mean,
yeah.
Everyone likes Boxer, so...
Can we just say how awesome it is that Boxer's playing so well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just the coolest. I mean, Boxer's play was just so stealable, too. I watched it...
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I mean, I'll finish fast. Just that, not only was his play amazing, but also, as the caster, I got to see it firsthand. So I had, the first-person perspective of feeling it, which I'm totally doing.
I got to cast Boxer as well for NASL, and I had this weird moment of I felt and so many people are going to jump on this so many different ways, but I'll just be honest. I felt so like worried that I wasn't going to do him honor. I was like, dude, you have to have like a certain level of prestige to be commentating boxer. I feel like anything I say. Anyways, that's just me gushing, I guess. But I was so happy because the easy thing to do is, as a Brood War player, is to look back on his career in Brood War and think, okay, well, he used to be a great, and then he just kind of started sucking towards the end. You know, like he just obviously didn't play at the same level as all these young guns. But in StarCraft 2, he looks great. Like, it's not even like he's doing these gimmicky things that just win him games every once in a while. He's playing fantastic, and anyone that's following the scene hardcore would probably have looked at Boxer versus Sen, and I just said anyone and probably, so I'm going to get a lot of people that are going to be angry with that, but I feel like they would have picked Sen, because Sen is one of the best Zergs, and those maps are pretty damn balanced, and Boxer showed us that he is a top player.
We'll have to see where he's going to pop up in some of these other tournaments. Now, before we move on to this next topic, Jeff, I just want to state that you're among friends right now, okay?
Jesus, JP, you don't have to build it up that much. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've taken criticism a little bit. But
okay, all right. So, NASL first week is over. Now, there were some hiccups. Hiccups being one of them showing Game 3 first in a best of 3. Maps weren't what they were supposed to be. There was sound issues plaguing the entire week. Jeff, I think you inadvertently spoiled a match between, I think it was the Axelov Squirtle match.
No, it was edited wrong.
Okay, it was edited wrong. The mic was accidentally left on after the Rhett series, I think it was, and I just gotta say, for a show that pre-records everything, how was none of that edited out?
You'd have to ask the editor, who stays up till 4 a.m. every night editing the show.
Okay, I guess that's the answer then. Also, was the when cheese fails thing, why was that there? What was the thought process behind having that on the show?
Well, a lot of the problems we're seeing with the NASL that's going on is a result of the fact that, like, there's the owner, Russ, then there's the co-owner, Duncan. Both those guys are the people that have got this thing driving. And then they have other people that are working under them. They have a professional editor, they have a professional, like, co-editor. Those are the two editors. And then they have Jason, who does, like, the marketing and, like, some of that stuff. And then they have, like, 3 or 4 other people who are, like, liaison / like worker bees, I suppose you can call them, doing a lot of the busy work. But it's not a huge crew. So every day we record till about 4 or 5, and then they have to edit until about 12. And some of the issues we saw was, like, one night the encoding just stopped, and we all thought, well, not all of us, but they go in the morning and they're like, oh, it stopped, it means it's done. No, it stopped because the internet hiccuped, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Video encoding ruins lives.
Yeah, I know.
yeah. And so what happens is we find out middle of the broadcast or whatever, and we have to make emergency maneuvers. And you can rinse repeat that process numerous times. So, like, the editing of, like, the microphone, obviously that's supposed to be edited out. Did someone watch the whole thing and sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to leave that in there because it brings personality to the show. No, it got overlooked, and that was a huge mistake, and it looked terrible.
Right.
Greetorp was like having a breakdown. He was so upset about it because it's
I mean,
it's just
not
bad.
good.
Like,
Yeah.
And then, like, some of the other issues, like me talking about a match that was played earlier in the day, but then it was edited to be shown earlier, was because we have to move our schedules around so that players can make it there on time because they have other stuff going on. And we still want to talk about the game, so I forgot and they didn't edit it out, so now it's a huge spoiler, which is like a really ugly mistake. And so a lot of people are really quick to say, it's a pre-recorded show, how do these things not make it out? I mean, if we had a full studio of like 35 people, I think it'd be ridiculous if it didn't make it out, but as it is, it's our first effort, it's the first week, and there's not a lot of people, but they're working their butts off, and some stuff did happen, and I think the true test is if they keep happening. If they keep happening, it's terrible, but I think so far we've proven that each time it happens, it's the one time.
My thoughts on it all, and I want to know what you think about me saying this. If you hadn't hyped up the league as much as you did,
oh yeah,
no one would be shitting on you guys like they are, right? I mean,
oh no, that's like, that's actually the biggest mistake of all of them, but it actually hurts me to say that because I'll give you some full disclosure background on that. Like, I'm honestly that excitable. I'm honestly that pumped about stuff. Like Mortal Kombat today, I was shaking. I was so excited about it. Anna, like when I go home, she'll be like, "Hey, let's go to NoHo's in Portland, which is my favorite Hawaiian steak place," and I'll get like teary-eyed. I actually get really excited about stuff. So when Russ was telling me about this league and we're working on it, and I'm like $400,000 and I'm going to commentate it and it's like all the best players, it's going to be this amazing production. I felt 100% confident telling everybody that it was worth this hype, that it was so excitable and that it was so awesome. But my mistake was taking my optimism and excitement and projecting it to a bunch of cynicists, which is the internet. And when anything happens, when it's not that great to them because they've seen other leagues, it's all better than that. They hold me like, it's not even like, it was like, well, it's not that. And, that's cool, you're an excitable person. It was like, you're fucking stupid for saying that. You owe me money. Like, that was, like, I'm not even joking with you.
It's ridiculous.
I have someone very near to me, and I won't name a name because it'd be throwing them under a bus, but they're within the EG organization, and he looked me in the eye and said, I'm upset that you guys had the audacity to hype it up that much, and to call it a star league. And I'm taken aback. I don't know what to do with that, because it's like, it's tough to be in a community where someone gets so excited, and when it's not that exciting to everyone else, they attack them for it. So no, I mean, if I could go back in time, I would not say a word about it. I wouldn't have hyped it at all. And it would have been the best thing for this league because people would have just taken it for what it is.
I think, well, I'll talk to you about it after the show, what I was going to say. Tyler, what are your thoughts on week 1 of NASL?
Well, first I got to talk about my experience. I think it's the #1 priority in the map situation, which I'll just explain, just from my perspective. So I'll just talk specifically about Crevasse, but I think Tal'Darim Altair is the other map that's in this situation as well, with its gold expansions. But I mean, NASL announced that, their map pool. They announced that they're going to be using these GSL maps, and there was never any special mention of our maps are different than the latest versions of the maps. And now in hindsight, now that I know that they accidentally used very old versions of the maps when they actually, I think, intended all along to use the latest versions of the maps. The players just had no idea. The only way that a player could actually know what was on these maps was to search NASL on Battle.net and find the NASL official maps, and then load one up and play it. And it's so extreme, the different messages we're receiving here, that when you load up an NASL Crevasse, and anyone can do this on Battle.net, NASL Crevasse or NASL Tal'Darim, during the loading screen you'll see a preview of the map, and the preview you see is of the latest version. And when you get into the game, you see you're playing in the beta version with narrow ramps on Crevasse, and with gold expansions on Tal'Darim. So any image you see of these maps associated with NASL is of the latest version. The only place you ever see the actual map that you're going to play on is in the game on the NASL version. So if I'm practicing for NASL and I know I'm playing on Crevasse, well, no, I didn't actually load up the NASL version, and NASL didn't give me a heads up that I need to. And so that was kind of the situation I was in. I think everyone can kind of see how a wider ramp on Crevasse would have helped me with my Blink Stalker strat. Mana beat me anyway. Mana outplayed me that day. I was going to lose no matter what the versions of the map were. And I didn't bring up...
It doesn't help when a league makes a bad mistake like that.
Yeah, I made a mistake in the way that I brought up the issue in the middle of a game. But it was an issue. And having just lost and actually having my plans of how I was going to play on Crevasse kind of screwed over by the map difference was probably what spiked my rage at that moment. So
Well,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was just going to give background on that. Is that okay, or would you rather I don't?
Oh, you can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, there's been issues with that too. Like, a lot of people are like, why would you ever use outdated maps? And there is no legitimate reason for that. It's a mistake. They did not ask Retorp and I. They just kind of went like, what are the good maps? And they looked at the MLG, TSL, GSL, and they kind of came up with that. And then obviously they have Backward Gulch and Typhon, which is their own spice, but they're not the top tier pro gamers. They're not even like they're spending all their time running this league. So the idea of like updated maps and stuff and the difference it would make didn't really strike them in the hodgepodge of things they were concerned about. And those slipped through, and it's completely unacceptable. Like, obviously, I've been in more competitive tournaments than, almost anybody, and I can tell you that would just be... It was just, like, when I heard about it, I lobbied day in and day out. Like, it has to be changed. And they are being changed as an update on that. But what happened to Tyler is, like, just absolutely terrible. Just, you don't... Like, when you play a game against somebody, you want to win and lose because that guy beat you or you beat him. You don't want things like even IdrA, who's on the call, I hosted a tournament a couple years ago, and like I got bad manner with him in the middle of a game, and it tilted him, and that's terrible. That's like a horrible thing for anyone to do in that position. And then here we are with another tournament, and I agree with Tyler. I think he's dead with a big ramp or without, but you don't want to ever have something happen in the middle of the game where even for a second you get flustered because it's not what you were expecting. I mean, the other analysis to get to, though, like part of the reason that kind of stuff slips through is because the website's made by a professional company, and they obviously consult and work with us all the time, but there's that weird, like, chain of communication, so stuff has slipped through, and that's just kind of like a function of the logistics of it, but it got corrected immediately, and, it was just kind of a crappy situation. But one of the things, again, I kind of want to reiterate, is just kind of judge, like, the reaction to it. If NASL came out and said, well, Tyler should have practiced the map that was loaded up on the server, and it's his fault, and we're going to fine him for speaking out in the game, then I think that'd be pretty terrible. But, as it is, they're like, whoops, sorry, we got to correct that, and, really sorry that happened, as far as I know.
I mean, I got to at least give props to NASL. I mean, this is not, like, a huge props, because I think this is kind of obvious, but...
It's Cruncher's minor props.
They could fine me. I mean, what I did was inappropriate, and, there's been no, like, disciplinary action yet, so I think I'm in the clear at this point. But, yeah, I mean...
It's like a turnaround on it or something.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? We don't like that Tyler guy. Let's find him.
Tyler was staying up till 11:59 the night before, like, yes!
Yeah, time's up, man. They can't find me anymore. But, yeah, I mean, they didn't do that, and it just goes to show, like, okay, they're making a lot of mistakes, and but they're fixing them. Like,
yeah.
So I gotta say, like, for me, this is me as a spectator now, not commentating on my experience as a player. But for me, like, I don't think the NASL format for divisional play is really gonna work out for me. I don't think I can maintain interest in it. I think I'll be like one of the first in line for the final 16 if I'm not in it. Obviously, I'm in it, then I'm not going to be spectating it. But like, I'm not there yet where I can like watch this 5 days a week, where players aren't facing elimination, where the drama isn't there. So like, for me, the format, and this isn't really speaking to NASL anymore beyond their decision to use this format. The format, like, I just don't like it, and after the first week, I'm not really into it, and I don't think I'm going to be tuning in on a regular basis at all for the divisional play. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Does anyone else want to?
I mean, it's a lot of games. You're basically talking about how many games it is to digest, and right now, being
how
the
many
first
games
week, it just doesn't. Like, there's no. It's the first of what, 9 weeks of games or something like that. So there's.
And I can even say, like, and as a player, I know how important every single match is. Like, I need to get top 2 in my group.
As a spectator,
I know that,
doesn't matter,
and every single match is huge. But even knowing that as a player, when I played my match and prepared for it and stuff, when I watched other people play their matches, I couldn't, like, get into it. as
it's
much.
still week 1 though. I think that's something that people don't really realize. Like when we start, it's going to be on us as a commentator. But like week 6 and 7, when it's like okay, it's kind of like
then
football
it's going to
playoffs.
get really interesting. Yeah.
This
yeah,
guy has
exactly.
to win this best of 3 to get into the top.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible, and it's not going to happen the first 2 weeks. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and we're not going to sit there and pretend like I do every cast where I'm like, okay, well, you know, in a short 10 weeks, this really matters. But come on, like you can lose in the first 2 or 3 weeks, it's fine. But
Right.
I agree. I think it's gonna it's a lot of games, so I think that's the tough part about this format because who the hell is gonna watch like 700 some odd games?
Man, it's just in general. There's like, I think one day. So there's TSL 3 on Saturday. That afternoon, and then later that night was NASL, or no, it was Sunday. TSL 3, then NASL, then GSL Code A at like 4 a.m. Plus,
And the Day 9 daily.
no, I was getting there. Plus, you have the Day 9 daily. You've got a billion other live streams, a ton other live or smaller tournaments that aren't on that huge grandiose scale. But it's absurd. Like you're just gonna have to start picking what you want to watch. And to harp on NASL, it's not easy to run a tournament like that. People that think that you could just turn on a stream and everything's going to go like it's DreamHack, it's not going to happen. Like it takes a ton of work to do that. I think everyone here has actually seen that firsthand or seen what kind of goes into that. So
Oh God, I can just say that like just doing some of the broadcasting stuff for Winter DreamHack was like brutal, and I even brought a crew, and I wasn't even handling the running of the tournament. It was just like the streaming, and oh my God, it was like
it's a lot of work, man.
I don't even have to deal with those players who have to do these awful things like eat food,
man.
Go to the bathroom. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but when it's like, where is he? He needs to play his match right now. He's eating. He doesn't have a Swedish. Oh God, the tournament's now delayed for like 4 days.
Eating is actually the biggest factor when it comes to tournaments not running on time. I don't know if you know that,
it's just
Sean.
like, oh yeah, I just want to
Like,
get some
why
food. You can't do that.
Yeah.
We have the tournament to run.
That exists.
This is a business.
One of
The stream never came back momentarily from MLG because we were just eating.
one of the things.
Twinkies just horking him down. Don't turn the stream on yet. I'm just another Twinkie.
Definitely sneaking in food to the next MLG.
No,
I don't care.
no,
I'm going to follow it up by
Stride.
chewing a bunch of Stride gum, but I'm sneaking in my own food so that I can eat at my own timetable. Then I'll freshen up with Stride.
One of the things I want people to take away from this conversation, though, before we, I guess, wrap it up, if you were about to do that, but like, there's going to be more mistakes, and this whole season's going to have issues, and it sucks because I feel like and I can take the blame for this. Everyone talks about my hype before. They're like, that's not professional. It's not the best thing I've ever seen. Let me be the Christ on a cross if you need to or whatever, but watch it for what it is. Like, it's a growing experience that's planned for multiple seasons, and when the day comes where we have a perfect broadcast between lag on the stream, production, and there's some cool graphics and interviews, and it's like connecting, and it's almost playoff time, just please give it a chance to be happy about that, because I think like an awesome league that brings you really cool games with a big cash prize is like, I think that's a cool thing just in and of itself, and a lot of people are even going to read into this and be like, you're just trying to get us to settle. Well, if settling for you is a giant league that's trying to become a professional star league, then I'm okay with that.
IdrA, do you have any thoughts on NASL before we do some shout-outs and then answer some questions?
I haven't watched the broadcasts. Obviously I've heard about the problems that this already been addressed. The maps are a huge problem. Obviously it was just a mistake. That's a really huge mistake, especially when they have people like you, Jeff, and Greytorp on the staff, to not go to people who actually play the game competitively for consulting on that kind of thing. I think that is utterly ridiculous. Are they changing it for the second week or the third week?
There's an email in your inbox right now that says, that I'm sure you checked, if you feel strongly that this needs to be changed right away, you need to respond with that opinion, so please do.
I should do that then.
Because I responded in big... I responded very strongly that, because I've been telling Russ I think it needs to be changed right now, but out of fairness, Russ has also said he promised the leaders of each of these teams he would not make a change to something as important as the maps without hearing back from all of them. So we're still waiting on that, and I don't think there's a team leader on this planet that would be like, no, keep the old version of Tal'Darim, but until we hear back from him, we can't. So it'll be third week at the latest, and hopefully this week at the soonest.
Hey, IdrA, while you're checking your email, read the email from MLG about a forum. Well, I got you here, and that's all off my mind.
I get like
All pro players should actually, yeah, you guys actually talk about it at the show.
That's because your site's password rules are so
It's
goddamn
not my
weird.
site, but yes, it does require every single. You have to actually do a heart with like alt ones. That has to be in there.
JP, you guys promised to host an amazing website for the face of esports, and I can't even access the forum.
It's not my fault you can't remember your password, man.
I want my
It's all those
$0
crazy
back.
characters. The I in iNcotroL is probably a 1, and the O is probably a 0, and there's got to be an exclamation point in there somewhere. Cause
You know what's funny? I think the worst mistake that NASL made that no one's jumping on is when they announced my name, they misspelled my name. I'm the head commentator.
Dude,
It's an actual...
ESL had me as Gene Plot at Gamescom.
What?
And I knew it was because of translation, but I was just like, Gene?
Gene Plot,
Gene
man.
Plot?
That's your
I actually
new,
might have that, like, somewhere around here.
that's your new name. So we're gonna be taking questions
Wait,
from.
I have 2 more things
Tyler.
I just want to
Tyler,
fit
you
in
just-
real quick
You just
about
want
the
to shit all
NSL,
over the NSL, don't you?
if I can.
Go ahead, man.
No, man. it's constructive criticism.
Okay.
I highly value the VODs being available in a file form, and I don't know if that's possible for season 1. I don't know if it's possible for season 3. I don't know if it will ever be possible, but if it ever is feasible for NASL to release files of their videos and not just have a site like Justin TV hosting embedded on-demand videos, that's like a strong preference for me, and I think for a lot of other people.
I think what they're saying is it's the issue of pirating. And I know your argument's going to be that it'll happen anyways, but we can agree that it'll happen more on a much larger scale if you release it in file form.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying I think if the people who strongly prefer it are outspoken about strongly preferring it, that's our only chance of ever getting it. So I think we should keep saying it as, without being too pushy about it. But, especially for me, I watch things 2x, 3x speed. I want to rewind instantly to rewatch a battle to see the micro specifically, stuff like that. And an embedded player is just a piece of shit for that. It's only really good for sitting back and watching it 1x like a normal person, but that's not how I watch VODs. So I just had to say that. And then the other thing, the audio thing. I know you guys are constantly improving the audio, but it might just be a pet peeve of mine. But if you guys get amazing audio, I'll just be in fucking heaven, because I love nice audio, and I know you guys
you are
high
a straight up
quality
audio
stream.
file for sure.
I want a straight up audio
Who gets
file.
their
But
fucking ears molded to get headphones?
yeah, I love audio so much that I sent in my $400 earphones to get them, and I went to an audiologist to get molds in my ears.
He just made that
I
word
sent-
up. It doesn't even exist.
I sent all that shit in to get my specific molds fitted to my earphones like a musician gets, but it's just it makes the whole show elevated, even if people don't consciously notice. It's just
No, I 100% agree. There's no excuse with the studio to not have perfect sound. And I'll just tell you that we thought we had it, but then it got recorded I'm not going to pretend to understand all the techno babble, but I'll just say that we're trying.
All you need to know is that video encoding is the worst thing for mankind.
And I hope this is my one fear, is that you guys have this amazing 3,000 kilobit per second stream, and 2950 of that is going to video, and 50 of it goes to audio. You guys can spare some more kilobits per second for audio if there's a bitrate problem there. Obviously, there's some other problems going on there, but I hope we can get a nice audio bitrate going on for the high quality, because
1,000 bitrate audio, 1,000 bitrate video, man.
For Tyler, then he'll finally be happy about the NASL.
Yeah, when you guys say a word with the letter S, I want to feel it in my sinuses. I want it to be so crisp on the high-end partials, man.
Yeah. I need Jeff to feel like he's right next to me.
We're working on it, man. I absolutely can promise you that that's something that it's really important to me too. Not as important as it is to you, because I don't think anyone sends in molds for their ears. But
yeah, it's
I hope
crazy,
I hope everyone recognizes I'm not trying to like shit on NASL here, but
No.
I'm just actually a person that wants everything to be as awesome as possible.
the community needs to stop with that. That's all there is to it.
It's
Stop
a weird
overreacting.
polarization. Like, it's so easy for me to pick the person that's hating on us, because that'll be the guy that's like, Jeff's fat and he's fucking stupid, lol. And then there's the people who are like, hey, I really feel like this is important and needs to happen. And it can still be stupid, but it's not hating. Like, it's just them sharing their concern. And from the very beginning, I've had this be like a very communal thing. So it's, I stand by it. I think we should take criticism. If we didn't take criticism, think of the things that would still be, potentially going on. Like, I feel like it's really important that people tell me what they want to see changed. So
Good.
I'm cool with it, man.
Be constructive is the number one thing. So we're going to take user questions, but first we're going to do some shout-outs on where everyone can check out all of our work here. Follow. I've got like three stuff.
I'm terribly sorry. I actually have to go
Okay.
real soon.
You do your
But,
shout-outs first then, Sean.
I'm day 9. Hooray!
Yeah!
I was just gonna say after the shoutouts, I can maybe stay for one question, but you're like, you're on now. I'm like, oh.
Hey man, well you don't say I actually got to go, and then be like, oh well, I'm going to stick around for a while.
I'd like to give a big shout out to Joss Whedon, because embarrassingly enough, I've only just started my first viewing of the TV series Firefly. And
good,
he's
man.
good. And he's good. I guess I have no other shout outs.
Just Google Day 9. You're good.
Oh yeah, Day 9 TV, I guess. Go to my Twitter. If you go to twitter.com/Day9TV, it has all the links there. Please go visit, follow me. I post some of the greatest music you will ever listen to in your entire life on my Twitter. Yeah.
Song of the day. It's becoming a standard on
Day
Sean's
Song
Twitter.
of the day. This is.
You could follow me here at Justin TV. Just click the follow button right where you're viewing this. Twitter at twitter.com/itmejp. Facebook at facebook.com/itmejp, and youtube.com/itmejp. On YouTube, you will find the SC Center, which is a show that I've been putting a lot of work into promoting as of late, because I put a lot of work into it on a daily basis with Chobo Pion. It's a daily news show.
It's really good, by the way.
Talking about all the stuff that is going on in StarCraft 2 world, because there's way too much for you to just go view a forum. So please go and check that out over at youtube.com/itmejp. Also review us, State of the Game on iTunes. That always helps out. And that's it for me. I'm hearing myself. Thank you for this, IdrA.
Here you go.
What did I do?
IdrA, where can people...
Oh, Tyler.
Now as well. Alright, I'm going to put my headphones back
Or
on.
Greg, rather.
Oh, okay, that was Sean. IdrA, where can people check some more stuff about you at?
Twitter /IdrAjit, IdrAjit.
Actually, continue on. And then after you're done, I have something to say. Sorry.
Let's see. Been playing tournaments recently. The only big thing is I've been streaming a lot more. You can go to it through idrajit.tv. Still hosted off Justin TV. I've been streaming a lot in like 11 or 12 PST, so that's 2 or 3 p.m. For the East Coast, and like evening-ish European time. Been streaming a lot more. It's been going well. Mostly it's ladder games, but people still seem to enjoy it. That's all that's really going on right now. There's kind of downtime between tournaments.
If you look below me, Tyler, and IdrA's head, and above the cat and Sean's head, you'll see all of our Twitters. So, Tyler, why don't you tell people where they can follow you on Twitter, and then they could just go and type it in because it's already on screen for them. You don't have to spell it for them.
Follow me at Tyler Washleski. Much appreciated.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I give a shout out to my team, my wonderful team, Team Liquid. LoLabFactory.com. You can go to TLAF.com. That's our wonderful sponsor. And Stride Gum, of course. I love you guys at Stride Gum. Everyone, if you don't give a shit about what kind of gum you got, what kind of gum you buy, I'm not the best spokesperson yet. If you don't give a shit, pick Stride, man.
Why not
Stride is actually the best.
That's actually the slogan. If you don't give a shit, pick Stride.
Yeah, you just like eat some gum and there's like a million brands and you're like, oh, I don't care. Pick Stride, actually, man. It's actually
It's not worse than the rest.
That's really good, Tyler.
It's the best gum.
I always thought that you should
Don't
just
not buy Stride.
Tyler, you should just be like, I'm Tyler Washaleski and I'm chilling and chewing Stride, and that should be your slogan. It's pretty
Okay,
good.
so now JP knows how to hype things. That's
Yeah, Jeff, his mind is blown right now. Jeff, where can people go check out you?
well, a couple things. Please do add me on Twitter. I'm almost at 10,000, and that's pretty cool. I want to get there. iNcotroL TV on YouTube, iNcotroL TV on Justin TV. I will be streaming more. For a while my stream was quote unquote broken, but it turns out it just needed an update. LOL. I'm so bad with technical stuff. Please do check out SC2Cast.com. They're a personal sponsor of mine. They do an excellent job bringing the StarCraft 2 world to the smartphone people, putting VODs on there as well as commentaries and just pretty much all kinds of content. Really good for people on the go. You know, if you don't have a say in what place you check out VODs, and you just don't give a shit. Get SC2 Cast, man. You know?
This is gonna catch on.
It's gonna catch on. If you don't give a shit,
I'm a trendsetter.
I will say this too, like, you know, you definitely can check out the ASL. Obviously, don't have to advertise it. It's all
check
over
it
the
out. We shit on it all show long. Just go watch. It's a good, it's a good production, man. Great games over there. Also, we didn't even mention any of them from last week, but there were some good matches.
Oh shoot, we got to do that because I won. We need to talk about every week I win. But also, what was I gonna say? Shoot. Oh, I want to thank my team, Evil Geniuses. Like, not gonna announce anything. Everything about them's pretty bland right now and just generic. And maybe someday it'll be exciting. I don't know. Who cares? But
if you don't give a shit, you should pay attention to EG.
If you don't care what team you root for, I just want to say though, like, I am like, this is gonna like really matter to 8 people, but I am super happy to be a part of Team EG. Like, we're really focusing on MLGs and events and international and like marketing. Like, I really feel like I'm a part of something super big. So please do. Nope, don't watch for the future at all. It's everything's gonna be totally fine.
You're learning, man. Everyone is learning tonight. Jeff's learning now.
Intel, SteelSeries, Kingston HyperX, to name a few. These are some really supportive companies. So if you guys are if you don't care what processor you have, you don't give a shit. Make it an Intel, please.
All right, Sean. Here's your one question. You ready for it?
Ready.
From Cockhorse. What's the most violent thing you've ever done in rage after playing a game? Doesn't have to be StarCraft.
Oh shit! Oh god! Oh man! I called Artosis on the phone the other day just to ask him how his Grandmaster laddering was going, and he was like fucking shitty. Like, and then we just shared rage stories, and I have totally destroyed my room more than once. I remember there was this one day in early college. It was for, I think, it was some ladder. This was way back when World Game Tour was the big ladder system, and everyone used World Game Tour as like their platform. Like even Team Liquid, when they wanted to like host a Team Liquid Star League, they would open the ladder on World Game Tour the same way that they did with IC Cup. And it was like top 32 go on to the final tournament, you know. But it was generally 33 or 34 because one of the people wouldn't show. So I was at like 33rd. So it's like 7 p.m. on a Friday night. Everything closes at like 5 p.m. the next day. That's when it stops. And I just thought, I'll just play 3 or 4 games, win those, and I'll be guaranteed my spot. I know everyone here who's listening, or excuse me, anyone here who's perhaps a co-host on State of the Game who's ever had that experience, I'll just play a few games, and then I'll be done.
It's the worst.
So I win the first game. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good, but then I lose the next game. So I'm like, all right, I'll just play a little longer. I win, and then I lose. And then I win, and I lose. Win, lose, win, lose, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win. And I'm just like hanging at the same spot. And it's like 3 in the morning, and I'm like 36 because I've been stagnating, and like everyone's starting to play. So I'm like, I have to play even more, right? And this is at the end of a school week at Harvey Mudd College, right? I should be sleeping, exhausted, right? So I play till 7:30 a.m. when I have to tutor children, all right? Because I tutored from 8 to noon every Saturday to help pay for school. So I'm like exhausted and like fuming, and I have to teach the most spiteful kids.
Is this going to be a violent story about kids?
Yeah, I was like breaking little girls' necks on the way back to my computer. But I remember, like, I was like, okay, you gotta be calm, you gotta be patient with these kids. This StarCraft has nothing to do with them. Don't take it out on them. And I didn't, but it was hard because he's like, 1 second, I'm texting my girlfriend, we're in love. I'm like, you're 14. Let's just put it down and talk about chemistry. It was, all like the pub nerd, like ideal gas equation and stuff. Like, and they just didn't want to divide. They wanted to just text. So I go back to my room, and I'm like 38. So I just, I try to play till like 5 p.m., and I literally lost almost every single game I played. I ended the ladder at like 59th place. I played, I think, almost 60 games in like a 24-hour period, and I just flipped out. I was like on the brink of exhaustion. I was just like, ah! I literally, some people are like, fuck, or shit. I literally just released these primal screams. I was just like, ah! Ah! I just swept my keyboard off my table and, knocked everything down. And then, I tried to, punch my mattress, but it was, one of those really springy mattresses, so it just, sends the fist right back at you. So I'm like, ah! Nothing felt satisfying. And I, pushed my chair over, and it kind of toppled. And then one of the suite mates comes in. He's like, Sean, are you okay? And I just went, ah! Just screamed. That was my freshman year at college when I did not know exactly how one should manage one's stress. And in general, if you're ever exhausted, don't play games. And it cost me a keyboard and a mouse, and my chair lost a wheel.
Too bad.
And I tried to tear my shirt. I was like, ah, but I wasn't strong enough, so it just stretched it so it looked like there were these boob places here. It looked like a girl's shirt. I was just like, I was too tired. It was terrible. I know every single person here has had a similar rage story where
My rage story. I was young. Wayne Gretzky's hockey for N64 is out, right? Playing 2v2 against the CPU. I'm screaming at my friend to pass the puck. Takes him 6 minutes. The clock is ticking down.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
I'm so sorry. I actually have to go. So
don't leave the call, by the way. Just hang up.
No, I have to completely shut this down. I'm reinstalling it right now.
All right, well, there.
So sorry.
Everyone say goodbye to the pretty overlay. It's about to go.
Pretty over and pretty co-panelists.
There it goes.
Cheers.
It's about to happen. Just wait for it. It's inevitable. Maybe it won't actually happen because he hasn't happened yet. But anyways, clock's ticking down. He doesn't pass the puck. We lose the game. I punch the TV. My hand goes through the front of the TV, and I have to go to the hospital.
Wow.
Because I was so upset that he didn't pass the puck to me. There goes the overlay.
Damn. Was he sitting next to you?
He was sitting right next to me, and I was like, why the fuck didn't you pass the puck? And I just punched the screen. And then I'm just like, why did I do that? Why did I... I was 10 or something. It was ridiculous. Tyler, I'm going to try to attempt to fix the overlay. In the meantime, do you ever get upset? And if you did, what's your worst rage story?
I've gotten upset. I mean, I broke my headphones, but that's not even a true rage story, because I'm doing, well, I don't know if people can see me right now, but you pull your headphones off and then you kind of stretch them out. Well, at some point I did that with my Sennheisers. I hope that's how you pronounce that brand name. They cracked, and this was after 4 years of using them almost every single day, and they've finally cracked, and it was probably because of my abuse of them, just taking them off normally, but not with enough care. And after I played Thorzane and lost in the TSL, they're heavily cracked, and this is not through any rage at all, so they're very fragile. I just like threw it down and it like completely snapped off, and I was like, fuck, whatever.
Is that the
Well,
worst one or just one?
That's like the worst one I have of like destroying personal property. But let me tell you, man, I can feel rage. I don't like physically act on it, and I think that's because I'm usually like I work out a lot, so I kind of get physical energy out of me. It's the only way I could stay healthy, and I can't imagine what I would have done at this point in my life if I didn't work out every day. But there comes a point where you feel so much rage, and then it just turns into like sadness, where you just loose and you're really angry, and you just like an epic face palm.
Yeah.
You just like give up, and that's like a next stage after rage that is actually way worse, and it's pretty bad. If you felt that, you know what I'm talking about. Beyond rage, just this overwhelming sadness.
That one's productive. Then you start cheesing every CVP and you actually win.
There you go.
Greg, I kind of have to alter this question for you. What's the most violent thing you've ever done in Rage that's not typing it in game to someone on a stream?
When I was walking out after my GSL match versus Zenio, second or third season, whichever season I lost to him in the round of 16, I punched a wall in the GSL studio. Didn't do any damage though. And the most lasting impact, I slammed my fist into a table and I actually have a little bit of a scar on my knuckle. I don't know if you can see that. And it's still stiff and it hurts sometimes. But that's about it.
Jeff, what have you broken in your Rage before?
You know that earthquake that just happened in Japan?
Too soon, man.
I was just going to say, I think it's a shame that we're talking about our anger when such a atrocity just happened recently.
Okay. I'm glad.
I think we should all take a moment and... what's the most angry I've ever been? I don't actually... Like, when I was younger, I've definitely slammed a keyboard and then be like, well, the spacebar's not going to work.
Yeah. I think everyone's broken controllers and whatnot.
I never have.
I've broken like 6 N64 controllers, but anyway.
Yeah, we know. You punched a TV, dude. You've probably broken a lot of things.
I rage, man.
You just definitely told us the craziest one, so I can assume
I know.
You broke everything else in that room at different times.
Oh, yeah. Holes in the wall and everything.
I don't punch things or get mad or yell, but what I do is, like, it doesn't leave me. It's like this weird, like, it's a cloud that hangs over me for the rest of the day. And the angriest I get, to kind of Shadow Day 9 story, is when I have a game won really, really bad in something that matters, and then I mess it up and I lose. And the worst that ever happened was in the Pan American Championship. The first year I went, I played Reason, a Brazilian player, who played Protoss against me. This is when he was like a matchup player. And we played on Sin Peaks to Baekdu, which is just like Crossfire. Crossfire is a port of that map.
Mm-hmm.
I 9-pool him. He Nexus first. I get him to cancel the Nexus. I kill his pylon. I kill his forge. His probes hold me off. And in the game, I literally remember me saying, well, that's enough damage. I'll just triple expand and start macroing now. And then like 35 minutes later, I remember thinking to myself, it literally hit me in the middle of the game. I go, oh my god, you're going to lose this game after you were up so far ahead. You'll never forget this moment. And I haven't, so that was the worst. It was a match for who went to the grand final against Phoenix.
That's the worst, dude. Definitely the worst feeling for sure. Tyler, we got a question from Christoph. Said on Spanishiwa's stream, you said that you changed all of your hotkeys and even turned some of your letters, I think you said A and F or maybe F and G, into your control groups. Could you elaborate on your thoughts into why you did this? And if you're still using them today.
Well, pretty much when I switched to StarCraft 2, I just kept the same hotkey system from StarCraft 1 for the most part, which worked pretty well for StarCraft 1. I mean, the main way I macroed in StarCraft 1 was actually to use camera hotkeys and not control group hotkeys. Since there wasn't multiple building selection, I'd have like 7 gates and I just center the camera on the gates, build all the units, by selecting the gates manually. And then I'd also have another camera save on the rally point where they were ending up. So that's how I would do reinforcements in StarCraft 1. Well, in StarCraft 2, you have MBS, multiple building selection. You really want to take advantage of that. And Protoss also has this weird thing where you get a hotkey for selecting warp gates, which by default is W, which is outside of the control group. So, long story short, I end up, like in StarCraft 2, I didn't have enough convenient hotkeys for units. I really like the left side of the keyboard and not so much 7+, but 6 and earlier. But I also like having 1 and 2 on buildings. So I'm like stuck using like 3, 4, 5 and kind of 6 on units, and also like 3 I kind of use on a building. So on like, this isn't even making sense, but basically I decided I needed to like redo, like start from scratch, just do a hotkey system that I like, that I think is intuitive to me, and take advantage of the fact that all hotkeys are now custom hotkeys. So yeah, I have kind of right now 1 on Nexus, 2 is gateways until they become warp gates, then my warp key select key is Q, and 2 goes to Stargate. Z is now a control group that I always hotkey to my robotics, and I
G? That was
Z.
Oh, Z.
Z. So
Okay.
the hotkeys for building like Immortal, Colossus, Warp Prism, and Observer are XCVB. That whole
man.
bottom row. So I don't use those for anything else. So I can just hit Z, and that'll always select my robotics, and I can build units off that bottom row. And then tab is actually a camera save. So I save tab to be where I'm going to build warp gate units. And then Q, like I said, is to select warp gates. So I can hit tab Q, and that'll center my screen on where I want to build reinforcements, and then also select my warp gates. And then WERTY are my warp gate units. And then, yeah, so that's pretty much it. So at any time I can hit 2 to select Stargates, and that's constant through every game, whether or not I started with Stargate Tech or not. I can always hit Z to select my robotics, no matter what, and then I can always hit Q to select my warp gates, no matter what. I can always hit 1 to select all my nexuses, no matter what. And then 3, 4, 5 are my main army, and then I have D and F as control groups for units that harass or miscellaneous units like warp prisms or observers or shit like that. So I think I have pretty good control over my main army while also having some very convenient control group hotkeys for harass and shit. So I just got to get used to it at this point.
Yeah, how long has it, I mean, how many games have you put into that hotkey system, and are you comfortable with it yet? I mean, that's quite the change.
I mean, it hasn't been very long. It's only been like 2 days, so I haven't put in that many games yet, but like I said, most of it is kind of intuitive to me. Not all of it can be 100% intuitive, because obviously my old system is what I intuitively do after so many years of using it. But most of the changes are things that I really like, and so it's just like rememorizing things. But already, like some of the more radical changes, like F being a control group, I'm already like completely digging it and completely used to using it. Like whatever units I'm harassing with, like Phoenixes, on control group F is just amazing. And to know that that doesn't mess up my main army control, that I can like instantly go to 3, 4, 5 is pretty sick.
IdrA, what do you think about that hotkey setup?
I blanked out for like half of it, but the idea of binding a control group to a letter I really, really like. I think I'm actually going to do that. Like move my hatch race to Y or something so I can have an extra, so I can start putting infestors on 4 and stuff. I really like that. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, and this is also I'm going to start trolling my stream, and obviously I'm ruining it somewhat by announcing it on State of the Game.
Don't do it. Just say you're going to be trolling your stream.
I'm going to be trolling. Let's say, okay, you know how the patch came and you can hide your hotkeys, right? So every stream was like, the chat was full of people like, he doesn't use hotkeys, what's going on? And
people
they're
are
like, why
asking-
does he hide them, man? You should show it to us.
I just had like 20 people submit, why does IdrA hide his hotkeys? I was like, he just turns them off.
So let me
I've
just
actually
say,
seen that. I've seen that.
Oh, it's constant in my channel. Like I think I added
Yeah.
the worst control group and hotkey to the banned list, and people still talk about it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
so
Yeah.
if you watch my stream now, I purposely have it so that, and I put it to display again just to fuck with people. I don't really care. You will see the worst hotkey system ever. And it's because I've remapped all the keys, so it's actually not the
People are gonna,
worst
like,
hotkey
start
system at
copying
all.
you and just-
But what you see displayed is like the worst thing, and if anyone just like straight copies it, then you are real dumb. So
You're real dumb,
you can
son.
see it now, guys, but you get zero useful information out of it. Congratulations.
They're real dumb sons. We got to answer Anna's questions. I'm just going to answer the first one. She'll be mad at me. I'm already her ex-temporary boyfriend. The first one was asking...
Temporary.
Yeah. I think... No, well, anyways, we'll
No,
just
it's
roll.
one word.
Extemporary.
It's the biggest word you've ever said, JP. Just roll with it. You knew what it meant.
Just roll with it. Just roll with it. How will players deal with all the leagues, I think, was kind of the general gist. I didn't write it down all, but...
And spectators, you said.
And
Like,
spectators. So I guess we'll ask you as players, how do you guys deal with all these leagues? Tyler, got to go to you.
I mean, as a player, it's not really that big of a problem. You can't put in like a huge amount of preparation to everything, but I think at least where most like non-Korean players are at right now, you kind of expect a lot of your competitive games to just be without preparation. You kind of just expect like, okay, I got to play this matchup. These are the maps. I'm just going to play it out. But yeah, there's not like an overwhelming amount of competitive matches. Like, I don't have time to practice anymore. No, you have time to practice plenty. You may need to be a little more diligent with maintaining a calendar or something to make sure you don't miss anything or get surprised by anything. But it's not overwhelming at this point. But for those fans of huge amount of preparation for every series, yeah, it's kind of a hindrance to that.
Tyler, you just answered the question.
Should I go first and second?
It's been late, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost 1 o'clock. My brain shuts down even more so. IdrA, how are you dealing with all the leagues?
For the most part, I like it. I think it's a bit of an advantage for me to have less prep time because, I mean, I'm not the one who's going to be devising some weird strategy, or if I do, it's just going to be a one-off thing that I don't really care about. So, on the whole, that's beneficial for me. I'm just kind of sad that I didn't get to go to that tournament in Italy. I really wanted to go to Italy, but MLG was at the same time, so that kind of sucks.
Which
But no,
tournament
on the
was
whole,
that?
it's a really, really good problem to have. Like,
What tournament
more
was in
competition's
Italy?
good.
I don't even
I don't know. It was, I think Hasuabs ended up winning it, but it was weaker competition for good money, and it was in Italy. But couldn't go 'cause it was the same time as MLG.
I see. Jeff, how do you deal with it? I mean, you've
it's
got
like-
more jobs or roles than most
Yeah.
players do, so...
It's like it's the best time in the world for me. Honestly, it would not be conducive to like a school/work schedule. Ann and I are in different states, so unfortunately, I don't get to give her as much attention she deserves. But it's I wake up, I go to the studio, I go home, I train, I coach for a couple hours every day. It's StarCraft day in and day out, and I think it's a big part of the reason why my results are turning up too, because there's something to practice for every single week. Not just my NASL matchup, but there's an MLG on the horizon, and I really want to do well at every single one of them. My dream is to win one. And it's nice with the IGN Pro League coming up. There's other things as well. FXO does a great job hosting tournaments for good prizes. I tried my hardest to be part of the TSL, but that was insanely hard to qualify for. So I couldn't be happier from the spectator perspective. I can understand how that's frustrating. Like the NASL itself, like a 3 or 4 hour broadcast every single day, that is so hard to follow, but what's important is shows like the SC Center, where they kind of summarize that, or State of the Game, where they talk about all of it, but also the VOD system. So when people are having problems with VODs, for me, that's like one of the first things that I need to remember to get back up to the higher ups, because all these tournaments have to have a good VOD system so that people can watch it, because nobody's expected to be like, well, I got to get home from work so I can watch the NASL and stay up till 5 a.m. watching the GSL too, so nobody's going to do that.
Except me, because I'm an idiot, but
You're crazy.
I am kind of crazy. Anna actually messaged me. Full question also was, how will all these leagues competing for attention affect esports? Will it help or hinder? This will be the last question or kind of statement that we answer. I feel it can only help.
I agree.
mean, the more leagues out there, they're all going to be competing with one another. It's only going to up the level of everything from production to players involved to prize pool. It's just going to put more eyes in general on esports. So,
100% agree, and I think it's like that too is another one of the fantastic facets of a growing StarCraft. Like, in order for a tournament to be relevant, its prize pool has to be bigger, its production value has to be higher, its tournament list, its player list has to be top notch, and it's like an arms race, but it's at the benefit of everyone involved, players, casters, and spectators. So, the only thing that would make it ugly is if they started to do like the direct capitalism argument, where like one tournament runs directly on top of another, and it's like, they're openly advertising, like, well, we're better than so and so. Like, I think each tournament should build each other up.
Yeah.
Because as a market, we're still a burgeoning market, we're still a growing market, so it behooves everyone to have all of the tournaments do better, in my opinion.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Tyler, IdrA, do you guys got anything to add to that?
Nope.
Well, that is going to wrap up SC Center then. And by SC Center, I mean State of the Game, because it's been a long day. So we'll see you guys next week right here at itmejp.com for State of the Game. Signing out. Everyone wave goodbye with their webcams. Jeff, you can't move your hands on the cat, but it's
I'll
okay.
just pretend to be humping as a cat.
All right. See you guys later. We're out. Peace.